No.
See, we need that intro I sent you last night, Ollie, from that stupid channel.
I actually checked out the channel content, not the podcast, but the main channel, and I was like, maybe not. No, not for
It's
me.
a bit radical, yeah.
It's a bit. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
But I do like the intro. It's kind of like, if you could get. So I mean, people don't know what we're talking about. I was talking about Friday Night Tights, which is it's a bit, yeah. I don't know. I kind of I dip in and out of it watching
It's
it.
a vibe, yeah. No, I checked their main channel, which is mostly reviews of like films and series and that kind of stuff. But it's
Yeah.
mostly them giving out about everything about it. Like I watched two of them, and I was like, "Well, did you fucking do it then?" Like, you,
Well, I do think there's at least a crux of a point, which is that instead, if you look at, I think the
There is
crux
to
of the crux of the point I get from them is that 30 years ago, if you were if you were pursuing money and a solitary life, and you'd be the bad guy, and Hollywood's flipped that around nowadays, which is. But yeah, we're not that channel. Anyway, so Jackie, what are you working on? You've been working on some stupid shit.
Yeah, well, I was about to code, but suddenly.
Some stupid Scottish asshole and
Yeah,
a French guy who decided
Yeah.
to go streaming, and we tempted you. Yeah.
It's
so
like
you were
that.
you were on holidays, Chucky?
No. My last work.
You
one
were
week now.
you were on holiday. You just stopped. You were
Yeah,
you've been on holiday
almost
for
4 weeks. 4 weeks for yeah.
Yeah, you Finnish bastard. You all go for a whole fucking month, you guys, don't you? The Finns.
Well, can by law. By law, I have right to have 4 weeks in a row. So yeah.
Yeah.
When I
Yep.
was in Finland, you guys made Finns speak. It was
Did
horrible. Yeah.
We made Finns
This
speak.
piece of crap makes Finns speak.
It's horror.
Yeah.
This
Totally.
beautiful board.
I came to. Oh, I heard about that. That's a perfect demo machine. Oh,
A CPU.
yeah.
So have you
yeah.
like? Are they all sold to the Finnish crowd then?
So I had 3 working boards with me and none back home. So 3 boards. Yep.
Wow.
Bright Light's got one. Truck's got
Bright
one.
Lights, Truck one, and one guy that's in Scrolly magazine.
Okay.
Old school demo, old school platform paper magazine.
I mean, it was the punchline of one of my jokes in my talk, which I'm sure we'd have to talk about at some point. But I was like that whole we've done the CD32, we've done the 1200. It's time to do the big box Amiga, so it makes logical sense that we do an MSX.
Yeah, I did chuckle. That was very good. Yeah.
I tried that one on my mother-in-law, and I just got flat. She had no idea, of course, because.
So from anybody for anybody from the 8-Bit Manshed channel watching who doesn't know what's going on, essentially this is a regular stream that Terrible Fire has been doing for a while. It's a free chat. There is the link in the highlighted on top of the comment section. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join it. It's free. Just be nice. But that's about the only rule, really.
Yeah, as long as you just don't start shouting or verbally abusing anybody, you can come in and talk about anything you want.
I'm hosting tonight because, frankly, Terrible Fire couldn't be bothered. So
yeah.
Fucking
Anyway,
yeah,
did you hear that I actually got 2 real VDPs? Non-fakes.
I heard
yeah.
So you can play.
The strange thing is I can't remember where I bought it from. It was just in my mail.
So somebody posted a link of the whatever Japanese eBay or Buy or something like that. They seem to have copped on that people are looking for VDPs like 99.58.
Yeah.
So somebody had a few for sale for quite a good price recently, like about 6 of them for €80 or dollars.
Whoa, 6 for 80. Or
Yeah,
80
have a look on Neil's RMC
In-
channel, Discord, sorry,
on
in
the
the
MSX
MSX
channel.
section. Yeah, there's a few links up.
I could definitely go another couple of
Well,
and
I
then
have. Let me see here. This bunch of BDPs that are fake.
Oh dear, that's
Everyone.
crazy.
It's total fake. Everything.
what I'd be interested in finding out is what chip that actually is.
Actually,
Yeah.
I plan to heat one up with hot air and crack it, so we can go see the
The
die.
CPU. Okay.
And on the Microsoft, maybe you can see what it is, because on the 060 CPU you can see 68, 060, etc. on the die. So I will crack one and see what it is, because it's not PDPs anyway.
Yeah, it'd be
Monsieur-
interesting to see. Yeah.
Mr. CPU, you know this is live on YouTube, right? You don't care?
How are you doing? How's things over there? You're still in Ukraine at the moment?
There are a lot of noise. I cannot really understand what you're saying.
Ah. Yeah, it's probably your connection then.
I am in Ukraine, in my home in Ukraine. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, it seems there's a lot of lag between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Interesting. I was in Finland last.
I saw. See you later.
Okay. I was in Finland last. Close to the border to the orcs. There was a big hotel complex there that Russians usually build. There was lots of flags with Slava Ukraini all over the place.
Wow.
Small hints.
So did you get a refund for all those VDPs then?
I'm waiting for refund. Yes, except those I got from AliExpress. That I'm still waiting for.
Yeah.
So in short, do not buy from AliExpress, because it takes forever to get the buyer protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always use my credit card if I go by AliExpress, so I can get my credit card company to do it, and then they can chase them.
Yeah, and actually from eBay I got from one place, and I told them that this is fakes, and they refunded me, but I did give them a bad review, and they wanted to change that review, and I thought, no, fuck no, it's your responsibility to know what your distributors sent, so it's not my problem, it's your problem. So,
yeah, I think that's fair play, and I actually think, I know you're taking a bit of pain on this, Chucky, but I think actually once you go through this pain and people realize that, I think what they were doing is selling these chips thinking that it'll be a year before anybody uses them.
yeah.
But you're plugging them straight in and going fake, 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 fake.
Yeah.
And that's just going to blow these guys out of the water. This is going to stop this straight away. So I think.
I wonder.
I don't need to send them back, and I will not do that. I told them every time I can send back. That's €14 in shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, to be honest, if, I mean, they probably get a batch from another supplier. Like, they're probably not at fault themselves. They just get a batch of whatever chips, something like that, and then
what they need is a TFMSX to test them.
They look exactly the same, and they've been shipped and packed exactly the same. So I guess this is from the same place.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they are actually, because there's very few chips of that form factor. I'm wondering if they might actually be Taito arcade chips. The IOCs.
You'd see a few of these in in arcade boards, like especially like you have a few Taito boards in this stage,
Yeah.
and like, there are some of the very few boards that have this pitch of for
There are so few chips that there's probably 5 or 6
But
chips.
I will someday. Someday I will heat it up and crack it.
Bring some over when you come over, and we can angle grind them down.
It wouldn't be funny if there were actually Taito custom chips, like for.
Then he'd be like 60 quid each.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
No, even more because they are rare as they have the cheap.
But I also have a repro of this chip. That chip.
Yeah. Hey, Brett. The link to join, if you want to join, is on top. Is highlighted in the comment section there. It'd be very interesting to see what they are, or are they just actual VDPs that are dead and try to flog them anyway?
The thing is, I thought
if they
an
were
actual
dead,
video
then it should be dead in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And no one of those sync or anything is just dead.
There's no life. Yeah.
No. So not even a sync.
Yeah, you get something.
And the first thing that you can actually look on if you get them is the pin 1. It should be grooved there. None of those have that marking. So that's a good way to see when you get the chips.
To be honest, like we talked about this in our WhatsApp, but I do think having the 9938 standard is probably a better option, and will keep the cost down.
Yeah.
And then people can upgrade if they want.
But literally, the only difference is you get smooth scrolling. Like it just jerks. Yeah. It's not like the scrolling jerks. It's just it jerks at the edge of the screen. It's like
is that the only thing?
That's really the only difference that I'm aware of. Is that it?
Yeah, the MSX2 Plus added a scrolling register, horizontal scrolling register. I think like another screen mode or something like that, but that's never used. So, like most MSX2 Plus games are MSX2 compatible anyway. And
yeah, you can play them because Space Mambo plays. It's just you don't see. I mean, but then again, in the arcade, if you just stretch the screen out a wee bit wider, you don't even notice.
Yeah.
And I read, checked that the 38 also have composite out, right?
Yeah, but the TF-MSX is not. It's using the two chips exactly the same way.
38 have composite out, and the 58 does not have composite out.
The TF-MSX doesn't do composite.
Yeah, well, anyway. You can hack it, right?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out how I can, because you posted the link there, Stephen, there, but I can't seem to be able to share it.
I pinged Hoffman.
Anyway,
I pinged a few people. See if we can. But I guess you probably have all the stats of how many people are watching and everything, but I have no idea. I think it's so. This is something I usually do on my channel, but I couldn't be arsed tonight, and so Ollie and I had to chat about alternating doing this on my channel and then on his channel, because it's a bit much to do it every second Friday is a bit much to always be doing it. So we just the format is anyone who wants to join can join. Just come in, chat about some shit, and
essentially because you and I are both sociable like pissed off badgers, so it's whenever one of us feels like it, it's going to be when this is on.
Yeah, I think it's the idea of the difference between this and This Week in Retro is really anybody can join. Like anybody can join. Like you can just wander in. So if you
one as a format and done professionally, the other one is.
Think of it like Retro Confession. Yeah.
Oh, what?
You just turn up, tell your story. Like, if you want.
Oh, it sounds like Stephen has a few, not you, but has a story to tell as well.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of stories. Yeah, we need, but Stephen's he's not
like the cops raided his house or something this week here.
Oh yeah, I was laughing my ass off when I saw that. The cops.
As you do.
Yeah. I'll leave that for Stephen. That's a Stephen story. I don't know what happened, but it's Rob Cranley's go-karting tonight, so he won't be joining, and I don't know where everybody else is.
Brett says retro AA. Yeah,
it's retro AA. Yeah.
Well, you joined in once.
But yeah, it's just a case of come in, chat, come in, fumigate the place, strip down the wallpaper, and then they're gone.
So those carts are working fine, Stephen, but you know that. You knew that already.
You were going mental.
Oh my god.
Tell him what you did. Well, actually, let me tell. So, Chucky, those carts, all he was building them and they weren't working. Can you guess what he did? There's so few components on there that you could pick up, and he didn't pick up the ROM and he didn't pick up the CPLD.
Now, mind you, I'm just finished. Putting the Re Amiga together. It worked perfect, no problem. Everything worked like right away, and I thought, how hard could it be to solder one of these guys? And
no okay, those cards, and you fucked it up. How?
Yeah. Not even the TFMSX, just the...
He didn't fuck up the soldering either. He fucked up the bomb. What did he fuck up on the bomb?
It's not much to fuck up on it, but I get the regulator, right?
Oh, yes. For fuck's sake.
So he's like swearing, like he's giving me like merde, sacre member, all these French swears. I'm like, really? This worked for me? Actually, this is the first board I've ever made where it worked first time.
Yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
Chucky, it worked pretty much first time for you as well? Yeah.
Yeah, first time, yeah, right off.
Yeah. Let's just rub it in.
Program ROM put in and run next.
So I'm thinking, right, there's not that many things to pick up. Did the ROM program correctly? Did the CPLD program correctly? And have you got voltage? Because nothing else is, or you've got a soldering fault. So I said, measure 3.3 volts, and he got 2 volts. He'd ordered a LM1117-2.0 instead of a 3.3.
Oh, there's the variable one as well. But then you get 0.4 or something like that. I've done that.
So the Re Amiga was my first attempt at SMD soldering or SMD components. So I didn't know that they came in different voltages. Like in through-hole stuff, it just through-hole is through-hole. Like if one component is rated one way, that's it. It's called something else.
No, it's not. It's even in through-hole, it's LM1117- whatever the voltage is. It's
You shut up. I can have you killed.
Well, did you like about the Re Amiga? Do you like when I soldered my Re Amiga before I went to Finland?
I think I mentioned that in the next video or something like that. I said, "Oh, it's cool." I started this in January. It took me like 6 months, and I just got a video, a picture of Chucky said he did 3 in 40 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, you crazy guys.
But I'm cheating because I have boards with the passives on.
The passives are they're just annoying, but they're actually not the hardest thing to solder on. Like.
No, I did this board. I got this board in this Thursday, and did that with passives.
Is that the 4000D?
4000 Rev D. It's a new board that me and Robert are working on. The Finnish guy made this one, but he never released the file, so we redid it. But something went fucked up on this one. It was booting perfect, and then I put in on the ID and everything broke.
Hey.
So it might
So
be
do you order them with all the birdseed already in place, or?
the green one. That green one, no, that one I did put the passives on in 4 hours something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while, but it's not the hard thing. But yeah, those rams. Oh my god.
They are quite bitchy, yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
SOJs. I mean, even as an SMD fan, I don't like SOJs. Anything where you've got overhang and you have to solder underneath. Hey, Nico.
Mr. Nico.
Hello there. Look, Mom, I'm on live TV.
A fellow Fiesta lover. What can I say?
So yeah, those
Yes.
rams. I mean, even when I put one and I thought it was right on, I obviously there was one kind of leg that wasn't quite just on,
Yeah,
and I kept getting errors. Like, so I had to go back so many times on every single one.
I use a tip that are bent so much so you can get under the ship. and put
Yeah,
on
so I have a
solder back
very
on.
thin.
Yeah, very thin, and it's bent.
Yeah, that's what I end. Oh yeah, that'd be good actually. Actually, I could have used that because I put a socket on the gal, and it actually prevented 2 legs of one of the 244.
Yeah,
the CMCI to be
it's
soldered
very
properly.
tight.
So I had to use a very thin thin tip. Actually, a bent one would be fairly handy. Because I'm still not comfortable enough to use hot air, especially on a build. Like, you're right at the end of the build. Like, that's when you don't want to fuck up your board and lift traces.
So Kapton tape is the thing for that.
I know, yeah. It just I want to practice first before I start.
Okay,
Like,
no, that makes sense.
I've used it to desolder stuff on boards I don't really care about, and that's fine if I want to get a
You actually have to fry on quite a lot of temperature to lift pads.
Yeah.
So So
in fact, if you get it really, really, really hot, you're not going to lift pads because the solder just comes away. So
yeah, I think when desoldering, the only way to lift pads is when you move the ship before the solder is liquid.
Yeah.
So I put pliers on and make it as lever, and then I put on hot air, and the weight of the pliers will make the ship move, and then you can pull it off. So no force at all. Just
the secret to all of this is the proper amount of flux.
of course, always the
Yeah,
proper
I got
amount.
the proper amount of fucking flux.
That means like everything you got.
Basically, just drown it in flux. If you do that, you have to clean it up afterwards, but things don't break.
Yeah,
And it's so, it's a true. Mind you, that flux isn't cheap.
That's not cheap. No,
No.
it's expensive.
I think I've been through about 10 tubes of that. And I don't do the sort of level of volumes of manufacturing. Now, what?
I usually buy them in 10-pack.
Oh,
From
Usually buy them
Rossmann.
in 3-pack. Yeah. My volumes are lower than yours. So and you're my dealer now because Rossmann won't sell them.
Yeah,
Send to-
but
to-
Northridge Fix will sell them to the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one you sent me will probably last me a lifetime. I don't plan on doing anything like that ever again.
I mean, that would only do that. A tube like that would probably do 3 boards. That's it.
Really?
Nah,
Would you 3 or 4?
it lasts longer than you expect, but yeah.
I'd say
I
I've
think
used
I
I've used the 10.
I
So.
use one tube every second, third month, something.
I'm not at that. I'm probably every 6 months. Yep.
Yeah.
It got the date on it, but I noticed that it doesn't care. Even a 1-year-old flux will work perfect.
As long as you use the proper amount. It's fine.
Yeah.
I actually miss old school Rossman videos. He doesn't do them anymore. He's just sitting talking about Apple all the time now.
Now he's just ranting.
But he remembers me because I was like the third, or he thinks I'm like the third or fourth subscriber. But I was like I was in his first 500 subscribers to his channel. But he was like, I'm an admin on his like a moderator on his channel. I can go around deleting people and
Still?
banning them. Yeah. On he has 3 channels. He's made me an admin or moderator on 3 of his channels. So
Oh. Of some reason, your admin on mine. I could remember that I approved it. I must have been drunk someday.
yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
So, okay. What's more fun to talk about?
Oh, I pinged Eric to see if he'll join.
I doubt it.
I think Andrew said he'll join later when he gets home. Is that I'm immortal?
We'll definitely get Stephen Elliott later as well.
Yeah.
He won't be able to resist the pool. He'll say he's tired, but we'll get him in. A famous Brit died this week, and of course, the first thing we get is Michael Parkinson's died. Stephen, did you talk to him? And he sent. So I think what he did was he changed one of his contacts, one of the people in his phone book's name to Michael Parkinson, and changed the photo, and it made it look like he'd only been talking to them 20 minutes ago. What a guy!
Yeah.
So in a year's time, his wife will be like, "Why is your auntie thinging me called Michael Parkinson? Why is my auntie such called Michael Parkinson in your phone?"
Jeez. Who was Michael Parkinson?
He was like a chat show host. He was very famous for having interviewed Billy Connolly in the UK.
Oh yeah, him. Oh god, yeah, I remember now. God, he was like a.
It was like
he was a figure, like he was staple.
Yeah,
of
he was.
British
He was.
television, yeah.
He was like Henry Sellers. You know? How dare they do that to me? I made the BBC.
So how was the cave experience?
It was my second time down at the cave, and
I mean, that's the difference.
This was a different way of approaching it, because the last time I went under the radar with my boy, and we just walked in like anybody else. This time I turned up. I met a couple of, because Neil wasn't there, so I turned up on the Saturday to get set up.
You had the place free for yourself. Like.
That was what Neil told me, but that wasn't true. so myself and someone who works with Alex and Neil, Holly, helped me get set up and get something set up there. We kind of got all my gear upstairs and did that. Then we did some filming in the car park, which I've sent you. I don't think that's any use at all, but we did some filming in the car park. And then I just wandered in on Saturday afternoon. I just wandered into the cave and just hung about, because really, what else am I going to do? Go and sit in a crappy hotel? So a bunch of people recognized me, which I was a bit embarrassed by. So somebody kept, I was just literally playing with the machines. I wasn't like, didn't have anything on me to say, I am such and such. And somebody said, are you Stephen Leary? I'm like,
you should get a T-shirt with your face on it.
If you were with, I remember when we were in Ireland in Athlone, you were like, it's terrible fire. It's terrible fire. Everybody, it's terrible fire.
Well, I did that at revision as well. So.
You did that in revision because you're a dick too.
Of course.
But it was just wandering around, and I had some good fun. No one came in the next day. The weird bit was there's a few of us. I think we didn't know, we weren't like, obviously we didn't meet up at this hotel we were staying at. It was the cheapest hotel that could be stayed at within 30 miles. So I think a lot of people were staying in that hotel that were going to be at the event, and the power went off, and you got up in the morning, there was no power, you couldn't get a shower, there was no kettle. It was one of those, I didn't get a good night's sleep. There was a lot of lot of banging in the middle of the night. I'll let you use your own imagination for what was going on.
That says it all. I mean,
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I probably used the wrong word there.
yeah.
So yeah, I just wandered in bleary-eyed, found a Costa coffee, got into the cave and set up, and it was. But I got to go around and really, I mean, from my perspective, I was really more nosy about how their arcade repair stuff is coming on. You know how it goes. Is that Fiona? She'll leave you a beer. Say hello to Fiona for me.
Hey, Fiona. She doesn't want to be on camera.
That's fair play.
She brings him beer.
She went to the shop for me on my.
Good. Okay. Left and what? Left and.
Hogarden, I think.
Garden, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in about 4 weeks' time, that's going to be us. We're going to be sitting on a pier somewhere.
I need to send more of this one to you.
And send me some retard gin. Bring some retard gin when you come over.
Well, okay. Well, we'll have checking luggage now. Yeah, but sure.
But no, if you have to check in luggage, don't do it. But if you can,
You can't bring liquid.
you can now.
Can you?
They changed the rules. I think
Sure.
just check, but the rules were changing.
Oh, I will check. They
Anyway,
have,
keep
in
going.
Stockholm, they have this new security system, so you don't need to unpack your stuff, laptop, liquids, etc. in your bag. They will scan it, and they will tell how much liquid you have on laptop, etc. from the scan.
Okay.
It takes like 2 minutes to go through.
But they stopped all that limit, that 100 ml limit in
They did?
recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I will check. Then I will order some retarded gin.
I think so. Go and double check that it's not the same coming
Yeah.
from Sweden. But yeah. So it was just wander in, get a coffee. I think originally I'd said to Neil, could I do the talk at the end of the day? And then I realized I'd probably be answering the same questions over and over and over again all day if I didn't get the talk out of the way at some point in the day. So I just did it just before lunch, which I think actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it was a good talk.
It really was, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was thinking that revision next year.
You want me to do the same talk or just a modified version?
Modified, actually. Something, yeah.
Something along those lines.
For
yeah,
when?
or
For what?
how to develop a 060 for the ME or whatever.
Okay, I could focus it down
Yeah.
a wee bit. Yeah, okay. Well, I did I got set up in this room and I did the talk I think I did it 5 times because Stephen Elliott and his wife came here. And I was like,
Yeah.
he came to get something. I'm like, sit down. I'm doing the talk. you're getting the talk whether you like it or not.
Yeah, because Jens usually have some talks, etc. So why not have a serious talk about something like how to have a CPU card or whatever? And
Okay.
For what? For revision?
yeah,
Yeah.
they have seminars,
Okay.
not just the
No, revision
seminar.
though. Revision.
It's
I'm
the right
torn
audience for it.
What?
I'm torn because but Ollie,
It's exactly the audience for it, actually.
I know
It
you're
is.
right. You're right, but on the other hand, revision is where you get pissed and have fun.
Well, well,
and if you're me,
the
do
best
the
thing
do,
is you can still drink beer while having the talk, and it's perfect.
and do the 5K.
How Boo's fucked
only
up those
only if you
videos
do the
of it.
5K. If you do the 5K,
Oh
yes.
fuck! No, don't come here with no. You know that the 5K run is on a Saturday morning.
Yeah. Oh, I'm painfully aware of that one. I've done it.
Let me think about that. I will not promise anything with beer in my.
That was the best thing ever because I did the run. I was suffering. I was so hungover because we'd done the Belgian beer seminar the night before, which I'll never do again. By the way, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll give Yeah, and I was
It's on me, so we will do that.
I ran past. I remember running past Ian Hoffman. He was like, "Holy shit, Steven's running the 5K. I think he's gonna die." And then I got back, and you were like, "You didn't drink the schnapps." I was like, "No, I was running. If I'd stopped, I wasn't gonna get going again."
Fair
Just we
play
went-
to you, because like 5K is still no joke. Like it's still 5K. Like it's
Yeah, and still think that you have had a Belgian beer seminar with 14 beers in 1 hour.
Yeah,
what?
2 a.m, Belgian beer seminar. I mean, Andrew
You
pointed
go
this
in
out.
sober and get out drunk.
Yeah, but we went in.
That's the point.
We went in. We went in the zone, and we came out way out of the zone.
And the problem is we also had the magic glass. The magic glass and then
Yeah.
magic that you could go to the Belgians and just fill it up with beer for free the rest of the party.
It was only at €10 to get the glass,
Yeah.
and it was a perfect. I'm going to get a perfect draft machine for here, but the problem with that was, I mean, we had that. We could get free beer, but it was so lethal. You could only have one drink every 2 or 3 hours, whereas I preferred the Carlsberg, which you could just keep drinking it gently. It was pish, but you could keep drinking it over 12 hours. You could have one every hour, and you'd
But
be.
I would talk to Frankie, say that you promised to have a talk, and it will be cool. So it will be done. Okay.
Okay.
Peter,
Okay, it's on YouTube. I'll do the talk next year at revision. Fuck.
Having him on Facebook, I can message here. Not now.
That's the trade-off, Stephen. If you want Chucky to build TFMSX, you have to do the talk.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I think that's a fair play.
Yeah, I actually got the
But that means
mail.
Chucky's now building TFMSX.
Yeah.
I got the mail from another Finn that told, "Oh, I heard about the MSX. I want one."
Why is
I
it
mean,
suddenly
there's only
Finland?
two things that can make Finns talk, and that's apparently alcohol and then MSX.
It's a serious question, though, because people have asked me, like, how do they get one, or who do they approach? And
Yeah,
right now,
they actually, yeah, they asked me about it as well. If it's open source, yada yada yada. So, not yet. I don't
no,
know.
I'm more thinking about people wanting one build. If they
Yeah.
want
Well,
somebody
they
to...
both kinds, but I told them I guess maybe Steven will do like the 1260 that first builders do it, and when costs are filled, then it will be open file, not open source.
Yeah.
Quite big.
No,
That's
no.
probably what we'll do.
What I mean is people asking me who they can ask to get somebody
Well,
to build it for
I have
them.
no problem building them, but my priority is the Amiga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who would be a good person to build this, and who would be well into it, would be 8-Bit Dreams, Victor.
Yeah.
I'll have a chat to him. I'll go and ping him up and see if he wants to
Yeah.
do it. But he
I
won't
know
be able to
I have
cover
no real
America.
problems building them, but my priority is on the Amiga.
Of course, no. That's perfectly understandable.
But I will get a cartridge that I can load demos, etc. For me, demos is the most important. I don't care about games at all. But I want to have it. But now I have MSX, so I need to have something that you can run MSX demos. So it's like the 664, etc. Even if I grew up with the C64, I don't care about it. And at revision, one guy pinged me, "Oh, come to my table. I have a gift for you." And he gave me two C128 PCBs that he reversed as he was inspired by my Amiga. So now I had to build one C128, and now I have one here. So I need to get cartridges for that one as well. So it's just getting expensive.
There's just something. I mean, maybe it's because I like arcade machines now, but there's something about the MSX games that are just like arcade games. I can't explain it. They're very Japanese.
I guess I need to get a Yamaha board as well, maybe.
Arse biscuits.
Yeah,
The Arse biscuits board.
And maybe I should do a run of pink MSXs as well.
No.
You know that I did order 10 1200 Amiga 1200 in pink from PCBWay.
You didn't do TF 1260s though.
No, they are expensive. It's expensive as fuck.
To do what?
Yeah.
The pink boards.
Oh, right.
The mouse boards, you know, the Amiga. It's 180 euros for 10.
In pink.
Yes. And Amiga 1200, 10 of them is with tax about 100 euros each.
Wow.
So it's expensive, but I didn't need pink because I promised Lynn. You know that I promised Lynn that I will have one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did 10, but it's expensive. But anyway, pink is interesting color on a PCB.
A Hello Kitty MSX would be.
Yeah, actually, as Lynn also likes MSX, a pink one to her would be fun, but
There you go.
but it's crazy money. It will be, I guess, it will be like 50 or 60 euros per PCB without passives on.
What?
Yeah.
Is it just
you-
just
you
because
need
of the
to
color?
do advanced PCB to get pink in color.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but they have pink, they have gray, and also lots of color, but it's expensive.
How are you doing, Nico? How's your summer so far? Better than ours?
I don't know. I was at work and it's hot. So yeah, pretty meh, pretty bad.
Yeah.
We haven't had a summer. It's been pish. It's been
I
absolute
had
shit.
summer. I've been in Spain. It was hot as fuck.
So far it's 10 past half and it's still 28 degrees. So I think it's a pretty high summer.
I
Yeah.
lit the fire. I have this. I lit a fire today. It's that cold.
Yeah, we don't have 28 if we add the temperatures of 3 days combined. Like,
Well,
it's been the worst summer in Ireland on record.
I will get
Like,
the beer
since record
and
is
see
kept.
how hot it is.
I think I know where I'm going now.
last week, like last Friday, it was pouring with rain. It might have been 26 degrees outside, but it was like the rain was hitting the ground and steaming off the ground straight away. It was bizarre. Never seen it. Never ever seen a summer like this in Scotland. No, it's warm and raining, and then this week it's just suddenly said,
So
summer,
July we
fine."
didn't have one sunny day. It rained every day, and I think we saw the sun sporadically in between clouds. But like, I've never seen anything like that in 26 years in Ireland. And so far, August is slightly better, but not by much. We've had a couple of dry days.
I was pissed when I went to Finland because one thing I love as I will go by ferry is to be on the Sunday on the ferry with the beer in my hand and watch Stockholm coast just pass by, and it was raining, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah,
it sucked really bad.
it's
Oh
nuts.
man, some of the lads. So I was telling Ollie, some of the lads I work with, actually all of my team, everyone who's in my team is in Belfast right now, and I told them that one of the things I noticed about Belfast was I couldn't find a traffic cone. There was no traffic cones. They seem to be like in Glasgow. Traffic cones are on every statue's head. You know,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
you know, and I was like, and I think in Belfast they don't have traffic cones, or traffic cones are a rarity because things can be hidden inside traffic cones that could maybe explode. And so they're now sending me photographs on the group WhatsApp chat of every traffic cone that they find. They're mad. I think they're all going to still be in Belfast on Monday morning. Which is, I said, if I have to send Ollie for them in the van, they're in deep shit.
I'm not going to Belfast. The idea of getting pissed in Belfast or Derry terrifies me.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Sounds like a good idea.
Belfast, it was a very scary place. Then it was okay for a bit. Since Brexit, it's got much worse.
Yeah, it gets better after breakfast.
The last time I was there, I went on my brother's stag, and we were drinking at 5 a.m.
Sounds like a normal day.
in Glasgow, and a couple of the lads had turned up. They hadn't bothered to go home since the night before.
Just saying out to somebody in the chat. I haven't seen you in a while. Sorry, keep going.
No worries. That's me. We were getting, there was lads that just got their got the cab from the club to the airport, just carried on drinking with us.
Have you done more with your cabs at the moment? Actually,
the next thing I need to do is try and power up the Sega board.
Oh
it's all cleaned up. But I'm kind of like I'm not sure what I have to do. I have to get my head into that game.
Yeah, there's something about those Model 2 drivers. And the same with the Model 3. Like it's once you start digging into it, like it's fine. But just that initial kind of step into it, it's so many wires, so many different boards.
So I said I was chatting to Holly at the cave about this, and I said, I've got the driver boards, the chips are missing pins, and they were really keen on having a look at it, but don't know.
Nobody bothers fixing them, because if that central chip it's a CPU, like it's a programmable. Yeah, it's a processor, and there's some ROM in it as well. So if it goes bad, that data isn't there anymore. Like there's no image to actually reprogram it. So if it's gone, it's gone.
Are you sure, or can it be cracked?
It's not worth it, to be honest, because there's already replacement. So people have actually designed FPGA boards already that can be used instead of that. Like so.
What supported that?
With the original hardware.
You see, you're talking to the wrong crowd here, Ollie. This is the sport. This is
you can crack the chip instead, right?
This is just for shits.
What I mean is, it's already been done.
No, have they cracked it or have they reversed?
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because one of I've seen loads of videos of Chucky sitting with a sander taking pictures of things. Sander again for 2 minutes. Take a picture. Sander, take a picture.
Yeah. No, they haven't reverse engineered it or opened it. No, not in that sense. What they have done is actually devised a better solution that allows you to, because that board drives the motor, so it enables the force feedback. That's all it does.
If that's all it does, will the whole cab turn on without that board?
Without it, no problem. You can disconnect it and it'll work fine.
In that case, that's my next step.
All it does is drive the motor to resist your movement.
Okay.
So you don't need it to run the cab. You don't need it to control the cab. The pots in the wheel will still work. It's connected directly to the board, so to the main board. So that's not. So you can actually leave it out.
So I'll tell you what the actual dependency on all of this is. I have to put a lintel into the basement, right, and then put the concrete floor on, because I don't want to put the CRT back on the machine until I have it where I want it to live.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because after that, because it won't move.
Yeah.
You might move it around a room, but you're not going to move it between rooms, right?
You're lazy. That's it. You're lazy. You're lazy. Fuck.
How many kilograms is that thing? It's probably 200 to 300 kilograms.
Yeah, it's heavy as fuck. Is the
Fuck, that's
scale?
fucking heavy.
I mean, just the base by itself is like 60 kilograms. It's a solid piece of metal.
They're
Then
big
the seat,
machines.
they're
I
big
still have
girls.
nightmares about that day when I dismantled the two of them and Tetrised them into my van. It
I
was
can't
just,
believe you actually did that. I would have given up.
yeah, I had
But
a
it
couple
was
of moments because it was just like after the first one, I was like, I'm done. Like I don't have, like I was sweating and there's just so much time gone already, and I was like, I've another one to dismantle.
so the machine is what? It's 6-7 feet long on the base,
Yeah.
a foot wide, and
Okay,
that base
for us
by
who
itself,
doesn't speak freedom units.
2 meters.
Okay.
2
Fucking huge.
meters, half, 3/4 of a meter wide. The screen itself,
See, like,
is so heavy. I mean, I picked it up the first time and I went, I better put that back down. Let me just pull my trousers up and get my game face on here. And I moved it up onto my bench, and it's still there. I cannot move it. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's big bastard machines. I mean, they're. Yeah, so I don't want to. I want to have all of the.
no, I think you're better off.
Prepping the
It's
space
one
where
of
it's
those
going to
things
go
like
into.
yeah, have the place ready for it and then move it into it. Especially if you don't want to put the monitor back up. But see, those monitors are VGA, so you could actually plug in any owl like flat screen VGA into
All
that
right,
board anyway. Yeah, just if you
but
want to test if the board is working, the board stack is working.
I might rig it up working on the bench, and that might be a fine. But I am not putting the whole thing back together
Yeah, that's fair enough.
until that concrete pours down. Because
No, the reason I'm saying that is I have the other board, which I'm not going to use it. So should I bring it to France with me?
yeah,
In September.
If you have the space for it, yeah, and yeah.
I don't know if it works either. I haven't tested it.
No, but I might be able to mix and match between different parts of the system. Yeah.
Now a lot of people get away with just a quick reflow on those. It's those chips that you can't. At least Model 3. I don't know Model 2, but it's you can't really like they're like the pads are between the board and the chip.
I went round every single chip, checked it was fine, cleaned,
So it's not
scrubbed it. So I haven't tried to power it on. I've cleaned the whole thing. I've checked out. I've moved all the. It's a bit like I went round and polished the teeth of the thing. I just got all the crud out from every single.
The other thing that can take them out is there a battery on those?
Don't think so.
Is there a super cap? Some of them might have a super cap that might be just worth replacing anyway before you power it on, because it can take out the 3.3 volt.
I didn't see it's a big stack of boards though, so I didn't look.
It'll be on. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look tomorrow, and then I'll show you if it's there. Model 3 have that. Naomi has that. I'm not sure. I don't know if Model 2 has it. Anyway.
Okay, but just I just quite like to have that game running off the Model 2. It's my my thing really. But I get why people want to have. I also would quite happily have the backup of a Pi when it's not working, but I quite like the.
Yeah, I don't think Pi will run Model 2, but a main PC. But
sorry. I mean, I have actually bought it. Got a new PC exactly for this.
No, I get it. I'll give you the other stack. I don't need it, and I think I got my money back out of those cabs anyway already.
What 200 euros with 110 euros in it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth it for
98 euros in it. Yeah.
That's worth it for the story.
Yeah, exactly. Is that my phone?
Don't know whose phone it is.
Somebody sent me a link earlier. Somebody got it was where is it? Let me find it. Can I share stuff on this? Yeah, I should be able to share stuff. How do I do this?
I'm going to go and get a refill.
Somebody, yeah, Chucky. I don't know if you followed at all, but I got a Sega Rally arcade, like double arcade sit on cab.
Yeah,
And
I follow that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like €200, and in it was like 98.
Yeah, I watched that video. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that was
You
quite
get
defined.
Ka-ching.
Yeah, but somebody beat me to it. Actually, I'm trying to see how. How do I share that? Edit layout. Got it. No, that's not. Oh, is that it? I'm new to. I'm using StreamYard to share this, and I have no idea how it works. So just bear with me. I'm trying to share something. Add an item. No, that doesn't work. Never mind. Some other time.
No.
Do you make the Re-Amiga as an order as well?
Yeah, if people send me a donor board or a chipset.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. I do that. If you have 2 dead boards, send them to me, and I send one back to you, and I keep the other one.
Yeah, whatever is working on the other one.
So I can sell. But usually, yeah, I do it if people send me the chipset and the D-subs, the 23 pins. D-subs.
The what?
The 23 pin D-subs.
Oh yeah, okay.
For
Yeah.
RGB and floppy.
Yeah, these are tricky to find, aren't they?
Yeah, they are tricky. So I for the PCB mount, it is tricky, but for the D-sub, the normal cable soldering, I got plenty.
Okay. Yeah, I have. Where did I get? I think Stevens brought me one when he came over here for the RGB one. Hello, Malo. Yeah, so I didn't have to search for one. Yeah, no, he gave me one, I think. And I was like, that looks pretty standard. Like, what's so hard to find? Finding them. Like, and then I did try to look for one. I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised the PCMCIA slot is expensive as well.
It's really expensive, yeah.
I didn't expect that. That was like 20 or 25 or probably more.
Probably
euros,
more,
like
40, 45, something.
Probably, yeah. I forgot.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
no,
really
it was,
expensive.
yeah, I might need it though because I was trying to use a dual a CF card on it,
Yeah.
and I just can't get the second card to work of the
No,
ID port.
CF card and slave, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I've read. Like apparently,
work.
like there's like some really rare cards that work, but people are the consensus is like don't bother, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
doesn't
thanks.
work. It doesn't work. Period.
So yeah,
You can put it on the retard board instead, the TF retard.
That's
Yeah.
The what?
Yeah, put the CF card, the other CF card on the TF retard 2060 card.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Stephen, do you know how we share like a screenshot, an external screen? I'm trying to find
There's a present thing. Have you hit present?
Oh, slides. My computer, okay. No,
We're really professional. We're really professional. Slick.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't suspect anything. Keep talking.
You hear me? You hear me?
I got it. No, I got it. I think I got it. I don't got it.
It's what?
There. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. You got
All right. So.
Oh shit.
This dude, yeah, Sega Rally 2 like championships, so it's Sega Rally 2, but in it was something like 150 in coins. So somebody beat me to it, and he paid 100 for the cabs.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
That's
there you
very
go.
that is so
how
similar
can
to
they
us.
actually miss that one? To
$100 for the cab, and you got 150. No, that was.
I feel cheated now. Oh, I was going to ask you what. I haven't done anything with the seat. Would you spray the seat or not?
I haven't done anything with mine either.
I'd say put it in the van.
God, it's so realistic.
Stop screen. Yeah, probably the same thing you did with the
sides.
The sides, maybe. I mean, it's too big to retro bright.
Retro bright.
You know?
It's yeah. I have opinions on retro bright. It's if you're good at it and you can get it done, then it's okay. But it can go bad.
The problem is spraying it is that you will wear.
Not if you clear coat it to death. Which is what,
yeah, you got to clear coat it.
It will wear, right?
But you can fix it. You can then fix it back.
I mean, I think you need to harden it some way.
So it's not that same plastic. It's actually very flexible plastic. Those, so it's not the same as a case.
Yeah.
So it's not as it's not that kind of brittle, sharp. Oh, here's Andrew. Hi.
Hi.
So it's a different type of plastic. So I'm not even sure it'll take a retrobite, and it's too big to retrobite anyway. You need a giant vat with 15 liters of.
And the other thing is, I mean, I've resprayed two of the side panels white. I probably should do the seat in the same color, right?
Yeah, I think you're better off respraying anyway.
Yeah, I think I might do that. It might be a last thing I do, but yeah.
I've done some respraying on my the Jambo Safari converted to Crazy Taxi, and that was resprayed, and it's still holding fine. Once the clear coat has cured, it's solid as epoxy, really.
It takes about 6 weeks to gas out, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Properly.
But just in between coats of paint, anyway. I leave at least 24 hours. Just take your time doing it.
Yeah, and I also leave it out in the sun.
Yeah.
The
sun.
The what?
In Scotland.
Enough of that. We had
especially now.
We had something like 11 weeks of no rain or something between May and June.
Yeah, but no rain. It's not the same as
it was still it was sunny.
So
it was lovely.
We're wearing the out of date Scottish Amiga user group t-shirts because the logo's changed to Biffa.
You know that internal jokes.
It's not really so much internal jokes. That was my talk. People were handing me Biffa bins as I was about to do my talk.
Is it out yet for non-Patreons, or is it still just Patreons?
I think it's just Patreon, but it won't be long until
probably be this weekend.
Yeah. I'm just trying to sort out my other camera. Sorry, just a moment.
So
it's really good, though. It's very interesting.
It was Chrissy. You knew about this beforehand, of course, Ollie, because people were asking me for the exact dimensions of the TM6. I was like, really? But the Biffa. Somebody handed me a proper Biffa, so I'm going to use that as that's going to become the official Scottish Amiga user group kitty. We can use that. We can use that for putting our money in for a kitty.
I'll share it when it's out live. It's genuinely very interesting. I didn't know you went to school, for example.
I didn't know how else to introduce it because I was thinking, well, you've got to start somewhere. Well, you got to start with your roots, haven't you? So
Yeah, no,
thinking
that was a
about
good way actually.
Pulling with titles, Doctor.
$1 million.
I still
Well-
love your saying that at Mia 37 when Jens
was
see
it?
if the word implodes explodes when there's four evil persons in the same square meter or something like that.
The thing is, though, Jens got the joke,
Yeah,
but Gunnar didn't.
no.
That's when I decided, okay, I don't really mind Jens so much. To be honest, he got the joke.
But you know that blue in the German flag is for humor.
Yeah, that's true. But Jens can't be German then, because he's got a sense of humor. He has actually.
Oh, old.
Well,
Sure, this goes out across all the airwaves. Stephen,
Yeah. I don't mind. I'll quite happily slag Jens right to his face. I have done in the past. So.
Too, yeah.
and
Very nice.
I've met Jens enough times now that I think he would be happy with it. So
yeah, I met him also quite a few times.
So I've just bought an Indivision Mark III. That's my news. Haven't got it yet. I've paid the guy on Amibay. I was going to get one.
You didn't buy direct. You didn't buy it direct from Jens then. Ooh.
No, well, because Jens, I think there's still he will ship to the UK, but there's a minimum purchase amount, and he's charging
200
euro.
Isn't, isn't the minimum purchase amount? Jesus.
No, it's not. It's not. It's 300 and something. I think. Well, maybe it's a bit more than that. I can't recall. But there's a guy who bought one a year or two ago for his A4000T, but he's never got around to making the modifications to the motherboard because you need to put in shorter capacitors so it can fit. And he just sold it. So it's unused. It's effectively brand new.
What's
145 quid I got it for.
I'm very green with this stuff. What is the Indivision?
It's a scan doubler, so you can put it on the HDMI monitor.
Oh, gotcha.
So in addition to
Ollie and I
scan
wouldn't have
doubling-
Ollie and I wouldn't have any interest in that type of thing with the CRT collection. So
down with this sort of thing. Yeah. It's quite nice though because it does give you. I mean, I'm using an Indivision just now, and it will give me 1024 by 768 on an AGA with no graphics card.
Yeah.
And the way if you pay attention to the pens and the palette and such like, you can get quite a nice picture. So that's my 1024 by 768 desktop there. I think it's 16 colors, but it looks quite nice. It works quite well, and I've still got over 1.5 mega chip, and with that running, which is fine. It doesn't impact anything. But the new one has a little thing that clips over one of the CIA chips, which lets you control your screen settings using the keyboard on the fly, and it also has presets as well. So you can, when you're playing a game, you can say, "Oh, it's not rendering properly, so I'll just make it bigger and center it and whatever," and then you save it for that game.
I mean, I love all of this stuff, but I would never ever develop a card with these kind of features because it's so overcomplicated. It's outside my reason.
What in German didn't you understand?
So you mentioned you might be interested in Indivision though, or do you not really to know that?
I did dangle. I was looking at one of Jens. I was talking to Jens. I was thinking about getting one because.
The other thing about the Indivision. So the previous versions of Indivision don't have a V-Sync to the 50 hertz.
Yeah, that's why
or something.
actually standing up.
So you don't. So there's you don't get the super smooth scrolling that you would demand from a CRT, for example. But the Mark III does have V-Sync to 50 hertz, so you do get the smooth scrolling.
But
it's quite a big improvement.
But the major point of all this is you're selling another CM8833, right?
I'm probably going to part with it, yeah. So my other purchases is this box here contains a Checkmate 1500 Plus black case, which my
from Dave, or is that?
yeah. So what happened was Dave bought. He was going to do his A12. He was going to do an A500 in the case, so he bought the A500 case with the A500 Zorro adapter and the A500 backplate, and then he decided to put his A1200 in it. And I said to him I was looking to get one, so I bought an A1200 one. He has an A500 one, so we're just going to swap because this is unused. He's had it for a year or something, but it's just sat in the box. So we're going to meet up and do one of these weird clandestine retro computer swaps. You know the type, yeah. Transit vans on the ferry, you know.
I think I got one black one of those cases here that I haven't.
Oh,
Yeah, same.
terrible fires in the chat.
Oh no!
And then on
It was the +2 that you gave me, Ollie. I remember when I was in the van driving back from Ireland, and I was thinking, I don't want to take that home, so I pinged Stephen when I was on the ferry. I said, "Can you meet me? I'll drop that off to you." So it literally came off the motorway. I'm 10 miles from my house. Met him in a lay-by. Handed him a +2. Go back in the van and fucked
A
off.
+2. What did I give you? I forgot.
You give me a Spectre +2.
I did.
You were just trying to get rid of everything.
Yeah, probably.
You're like, could you take that to Hoffman? What about that? Would you just go and do?
I put one in the attic in the shed, and next thing there was 5.
Yeah, and there was a whole pile of Commodore's tapes you gave us. Those are at Neil's now. I left them with Neil.
I sent Neil a couple. Like he actually took a handful only for the museum, and the rest I gave to a local lad who's Spectrum collectors.
Yeah, you gave me a box of. Well, somebody gave me a box of them. I left them with Neil. I was like, I just said, "Here's some Commodore 64."
Oh, and
tapes.
The C60. Yeah, I gave you a batch of C60.
There was 16 tapes, C16 tapes, I think.
C16. You're right. Yeah.
And I gave him.
And these were given to me by. It was my neighbor actually. Just gave them to me, and I was like, I probably won't have a use for them. Like same with the 2+, but I was like, I'll find somebody who will. And he was like, yeah, fair enough.
I left loads of things at the cave that Neil has no idea about. You won't know it's me.
But I like it though. I like like somebody gives you something, when they're understanding, you'll find a taker for them for free. Like you'll give it to somebody else. That's kind of cool.
I like. Well, if all else fails, you just drop it at Neil's and run.
Like the Atari 600 XC that I gave to Hoffman. That was my neighbor's.
Oh, that was the most complicated swap ever. That came from you.
Yeah.
I picked it up when we went to get the cab to get the Sega. Took it in the van, smuggled it across the Irish Sea.
Smuggled.
But it. Gotta make it sound more interesting than it is, right? Come on, I made it. Did I not do a good job of going? I smuggled the thing over from Ireland, and then I smuggled it into Germany, and then Hoffman.
And you dumped it outside of Hoffman's hotel room.
No, Hoffman came up to my room, and he's like, "What do you got?" I'm like, "Here's all the shit from Ollie. There you go. Bye. Get out of my room." But we were both really hungover.
But he still has to pick up the floppies for it as well.
Yeah, those are still here.
Yeah,
but,
sure, you pick them up whenever.
If not, I'll drop them. Actually, I could drop them on the way down to France because I'm going past Salisbury, and he lives down that way.
Well, easy.
No, you dump it to him at revision because standards.
Yeah, that's true. You can dump it at revision.
October.
At the Crystal Hotel. Just dump it outside.
I might see him before then. It's okay. You might see him before then as well.
Yeah.
So I had my first cave experience a couple of weeks ago. It was good. I know I dialed in. I attempted to dial into the Fishwives call a couple of times. The first time my wife was in here working, so I tried to log in on the laptop and it was just not working. And then I tried to dial in from the Wi-Fi hotspot in the campsite, which worked for about 5 seconds and then collapsed completely. But on that, I was that was I think the day I was at the Retro Cave. It was great, really good fun. It was good meeting Neil again.
And I said, and then I got a message from Neil saying, I see you sent one of your spies to the cave. I'm like, they're everywhere, Neil. They're everywhere.
Well, Paula was very pleased because she took away the Tetris. They've got this some kind of, I don't think it's a Japanese import or a Japanese handheld Tetris game, which was in a McDonald's Happy Meal. And it's basically a chicken nugget with a Tetris game in it, like a plastic chicken nugget. And I think there was some kid that got like 77 points and Paula got 225 or something. And there was a whole discussion about, are adults allowed to win the prize or not? And she was like, I bloody hope so. So she did. He gave her the colouring book.
Mhm.
Sorry,
It gave us a great experience. If anybody's not been there, I would recommend it. I've been a couple of times. It's every machine you've ever wanted to play is hanging out there. I think my favorite machine to have a crack at was I think the game's called Dracula, but it's Vampire Killer on the X68000, and the soundtrack is just killer. It was bloody tears, and it was just banging that soundtrack.
I was very taken with the Japanese, whatever it is, the 68,000, the one that it's such a cool looking machine.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before. I gather it's a developer machine effectively for the arcades.
It was an arcade machine. It was very popular in Japan. I consider it to be the successor to the MSX. Really,
It has like I was reading the blurb that came with it, and it was talking about how its custom chips were superior to the Amiga. And I mean, there was some games like I think Metal Slug might be one of the games that was running on it.
it was an Amiga 1200 basically in 1987.
Yeah, it also looks really cool.
It does,
and it's got the weird sort of floppy discs, 5 1/4 inch or bespoke. I don't know, some kind of weird disc. But apparently, it was very popular because they used it to develop the coin ops.
Yeah, there's so many cool games on there, and they're all really, really nice Japanese jobs.
There's one at I probably should tell you this. There's one at Forgotten Worlds. He's got one
down in Kilmarnock, that way.
Kilwinning, yeah. He's got one, a white one or a beigey white one. I don't know if it's gone already, but
come on. So sorry, Andrew. But Dave's resisting joining, and we're just gonna have to. Dave, I don't care if you're just in your penny for cooking. Joy,
we've all got stuff to do, Dave.
Yeah,
we should all be
coding.
doing other and better stuff than
I should
being here.
code right now. I hear it.
I'm just glad you're. On you go, Andrew.
I'm just because you know that I'm a real proper serious geek, yeah. So I'm just back from playing a tournament game at Warhammer 40,000. So that was my evening before this.
Yeah,
very rock and roll.
I'm not a geek to that level, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. I'm a nerd or a geek. I don't know what's the difference.
I never played Warhammer. I used to play Blood Bowl a lot. I had the whatever 3 different revisions. Like I had them and the figurines and all that. We're talking like the first edition of Blood Bowl. Jesus fuck.
It's one of my bad boys. Yeah.
So my only ambition in terms of figures is to get hold of Stride Man. I want to have a Stride Man. I'm getting blank looks. You know who Stride Man is?
No.
It's an action figure of Neil.
Stroud Man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you talked properly, we'd know what you were saying.
Oh, so it's not just me. Thank you.
Okay. You said Stride Man, like someone.
Stroud Man. Okay, sorry. I'm pissed.
I thought you said Stride Man, all right.
Okay,
Stroud Man. Yes. If you said Stroud Man, I would have known you were talking about.
Okay, well, I thought I had. Sorry.
I have to do something important, Stephen. I ordered more retards. So I can bring.
I couldn't mention retards. I didn't want to mention retards on Neil's stream because I thought he might edit that out. So But
Actually-
you know that,
The fun thing is people say that it's a horrible name, right?
yeah.
I mean, I'd better tell the real story about the retard beer. It's not that horrible that it sounds.
No.
No.
I'm sure it's just
Says
lost in
actually
translation.
On the can, it's a text here. And people with cerebral palsy, they all normal people and want to go to the pub and have a beer. So we retards want to have a beer. That's what it's about. And that guy on this picture, it's actually he who named the beer. And they had a big problem with get the name approved.
Is that right? I mean, yeah. If to an extent, these guys own the word, they can use the word
Well,
if they want to.
The thing is, they are from Gothenburg. In Sweden, Gothenburg is known for the bad jokes, and that's why they have the name, because they are really known
Do you know,
for the really bad notes.
In my naivety, I thought retard was just a different word in Swedish.
No,
I didn't realize it was actually that until comparatively
it's
recently.
actually that. Yeah.
It's actually that word, but it's okay because the guy that named it has cerebral palsy and he's happy to use that.
Yeah, he wants to say that we
That
are normal
moniker.
people, that treat us as normal people, for fuck's sake.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that they
Except that they say that the only difference between us is that we take the taxi to the pub and walk home.
That's class. Well, I
love
took
that.
a visit. I took a visit to the Corinium Brewery in Cirencester when I was on holiday, which is a nice little independent brewery, and I'm drinking Ale Caesar, which is
Yeah.
quite a nice little.
I need to go to my
Hoppy
favorite
ale.
place here because he's a good guy.
But the thing is, you've got the good guy drink, but we've never been able to get hold of Wank.
No,
Well,
There is a
You know,
beer
I-
called Wank.
called Wank.
I'm listening.
Can't get hold of it. I tried.
oh, you're wearing a D&D shirt. Nice. I was not only was I sorry, John,
Redbox.
not only was I playing Warhammer tonight, I was playing Dungeons and Dragons last night as well. That is my week so far. Thursday, Friday, D&D, 40k, and Amiga Fishwives. It does not get.
I still have
geekier
my original Redbox from back then.
Nice.
in the shop actually.
The
Wow.
campaign I'm playing with the guy that runs the campaign, who I've known for 25 years, started the campaign in high school nearly 30 years ago, and it's a persistent world. The same campaign. He's been on it for 30 years. It's brilliant. But yeah,
That's pretty
sorry,
cool,
John.
actually. That's commitment there.
Oh, he's got actually, I'll tell you something funny as well. Like, I've got some of his old floppy disks, and I was going through because he was my flatmate, and I was finding one of his disks. He's from Armagh, actually. He's from not far from you, but it was. I put the disc in, and I didn't know what was on it, which was risky. Let's be honest. But what it had was the worlds, and because he created the entire world, the gods, the politics, all the races are different from the standard book, and it was like on his. It was an Amiga disc which had all of this stuff on it. So so the game I'm playing now, he's got like a disc from like mid '90s, which has some of the backstory on it. It's quite cool. Nice little bit of.
I like the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons. That's as far as I really know anything about Dungeons.
The movie is quite good. Have you seen the movie?
No.
It's quite funny. It does it's quite a good, faithful kind of family, sort of friendly, swashbuckling kind of affair. It's good. It hit the right tone, I think.
So I heard,
It's
apparently it's very good, yeah.
It's just not something I've ever been into. I don't know why. Probably not that much of a nerd.
I'm into too many things. That's the problem. Sorry, but John, you were talking about your meat and beer.
I still have my Dark Sun box as well.
Oh, Dark Sun was my first ever game of D&D. Was my mate ran a Dark Sun campaign in about 1993-94. I had, sorry guys, we're gonna lose you completely now, right? But I had a Thrycreen gladiator. Thrycreen's like a six-armed, an eight-legged, like two-legged, six-armed, or whatever, four-armed insectoid thing. And that was my very, very first character. That was a great game setting as well. It was a really good setting. I think they're bringing it back, but anyway. Sorry, like I'm completely taken over with
No.
stuff.
I just don't know anything
I've
about
never
it. So
been into that, and I never. Yeah.
There's loads of is it SSL or SSI? Did a whole like Eye of the Beholder and all that. So you've got all of the Eye of the Beholder games. You've got all the Pools of Radiance games. There's like all the games that are set in the Dragonlance saga, the Kryn games, Warriors of Kryn, and all that. There's probably about 20 plus official D&D titles in the Amiga back catalogue, and I haven't played any of them. But it's a crossover, isn't it? That's tenuous link.
I do like that Ollie, that wee gif he did of the lad looking at his ass.
That's
quite funny.
Oh, that's very good.
The thing that's so funny about that picture is that the girl he's looking at and the girl that's looking across is the same woman.
What do you mean?
The one he's looking at the original version of that.
Oh, the original. It's the same woman.
Yeah.
Never noticed that.
Oh,
It's a great meme. Let's be
I
honest.
didn't know.
It is.
It's one of the best. So I've something I'm involved in just now because obviously Ollie's a banjo folky guy. So oh, nice. That's class. Very nice indeed. It's a great game setting. It's really original. But yeah, so one of my best friends in school from we're talking nearly 30 years ago. After we went to uni, we kind of lost touch, and we like occasionally saw each other, but we weren't like close friends or anything. And then during lockdown, he just kind of emerged out of nowhere. He published a fictional novel, which is set in the mid-90s Edinburgh, which is fantastic because you read it and I think you're recognizing the sort of scenery and the things that are going on. And he released an album, and then he launched a YouTube channel where he does mandolin and banjo. Is it banjo? It's maybe just mandolin, maybe violin. I can't remember. But he basically does we're getting onto banjos. So one of my friends, I reconnected with him during lockdown, just through Zoom and all the rest of it, and we talked about doing a collaboration, and we eventually got around to doing it. So we did a Dirty Old Town. Essentially, it's a lesson, right? He's basically teaching mandolin, but we did that, and then we're working on another one just now, which is a version of a song by the Levelers called Boatman, which I don't know if you know, but it's class. I went to see the Levelers a couple of weeks ago. They were amazing. They did not have Pete and Diesel supporting them in Scotland, though, unfortunately. Well, I never saw them. But.
I'm glad I'm not the one mentioning Pete and Diesel.
Why? Does Ollie not like them or something?
He's maybe he's had me fan gushing about Pete and Diesel for too long. That's all.
But if you have a mate who's in a band that is like has any kind of modicum of success, you're always going to they're my mates.
I 100% get it. I just don't get it.
It's not even that. I mean, the guy. I mean, for me, it's just it's not even he's my mate. He's my brother's best pal.
Yeah, no.
I get like a kind of Saw Doctors kind of.
Yeah. Regional folk band as well are kind of.
I've seen the Saw Doctors a couple of times, and they're a good fun. I've not seen them for a very long time, to be fair, but they were a good fun band to see.
It's about 10 years since I've seen Saw Doctors. Maybe a wee bit more.
Get that.
Wouldn't be a fan of that either. But...
Right now, there's a festival. So the Levelers run a festival called Beautiful Days in Devon, and it's always this weekend in August, which is really annoying because the kids are back at school here. I'd love to go. I'd love to take the kids, but we would have to take them out of school. And we took the kids out of school a week early in June, so we can't really, just dispense with tradition and ignore that. But I'd love to go to that because it's a proper crusty, folky festival with zero corporate sponsorship, and like everything is obviously very kind of like new age and cool. Most of the folk that'll be there will be wandering around in a haze and probably wearing hemp clothing and all kinds of stuff. So it's all very good fun. And I'd love, you know what I mean?
It smells of balls.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. I would love to go to this festival and then see the Levs.
It's
but,
been a hell of a long time since I've been, but I'd love to go back to the Heb Kelk Festival. I mean, I know all the best places to sleep in the castle grounds in Stornoway, so I'd be grand. I've done that for several. Probably have to fight people for my favorite spots, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I grew up drinking in the castle grounds. That's where the Heb Kelk
That's where they have it.
is.
you know which hedges provide the best bedding material and warmth.
It's one of my
and
favorite-
protection
it's actually-
from exposure.
It's one of my, I mean, maybe not my best story, but it's a story. When we were 16, 17, you know, when you're 16, 17, you go and try and drink somewhere out of sight. You know, on a Friday afternoon or so, whatever.
Did you have to drink in a kind of like? I've said this word already, but did you have to drink in a clandestine manner? Like if you got caught drinking, you'd be in trouble.
No, but if I wanted to drink at home, I could drink at home, no problems, right? But then how did I get to Stornoway? It's 18 miles away, right? So if I wanted to go drinking in Stornoway, I couldn't drink in a pub and I couldn't drink in any of my pals' houses. So we'd end up drinking in the castle grounds. It wasn't because my parents were like, no, you can't drink. You know, if I came home and said, can I have a can of beer? Can I have a glass of wine? I could have had a drink, no problem. It was fine, but it was a case of I couldn't drink in my friends' houses, if that makes any sense.
Was that because your parents were a little bit more like progressive than your mates? We're talking Western Isles here. Yeah.
So one of my mates, his dad worked on a ferry. In fact, he now works on a ferry. But his dad worked on the ferry. So when his dad was, they were 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. When he was off the ferry, we couldn't drink. When he was on the ferry, we could.
Yeah.
So it was like that. But so it was one of those occasions where we were forced into the castle grounds to go drinking on a Friday afternoon. So we thought, I don't know why we thought this was a good idea. We climbed up a tree. We climbed quite high up a tree. We climbed like 50 feet up a tree.
Yes, she is. Right, I'll see you later.
So we climbed.
They went, woo!
So it's Friday
Paula's had
afternoon.
a tough week. She's away to bed.
It's Friday afternoon in Stornoway. It's a sunny. It's in the castle grounds, and the thing about the castle grounds in Stornoway is that tourists walk through it. Okay, so we decide we get our carry out. Like we got our contacts, we get our carry out. We're underage drinking. We get our carry out. So we go up a tree.
It's 16 underage though. I mean, underage drinking is like.
It was.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You weren't,
Like,
you weren't allowed to go. You weren't allowed to get a drink in a pub, right? I mean, the police weren't going to give you any hassle, but you were.
Like underage, for me, underage drinking is like children drinking.
Yeah, we were 16, 17. But we were up a tree. So the salient point of this whole problem was we were up a tree, right? In the castle grounds.
Not the drinking. You were
well,
up a tree.
We started off, we climbed a tree. We're all perfectly capable. We get drunk. Some tourists go by and we start making monkey noises. Like proper wrestling the branches. We were. I mean,
you're a PhD, aren't you now? Yeah,
I am. Yeah. I wasn't at the time. But you can see my level of trolling that you've come to know.
Yes,
it's right there.
You've nurtured it, and
hasn't really changed, really.
It hasn't really changed. So, but then after about, call it. I mean, and then when you needed to go, you just went in the tree. You just urinated from the tree. Right? It was fine. But at some point in the proceedings, we realized
I'm doing a parabola. Woo!
At some point in the proceedings, we realized we needed to get down. And things were a lot trickier getting down than they were getting up.
Is it not the case that the less control you have over your sort of physical kind of like if you fall while drunk, you don't injure yourself as badly as if you fall while you're sober because You're
Yeah,
more.
but you
kind
still don't want to fall.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's
know.
why pole vaulters always go drunk. Like,
Look, sorry, just drunk Olympics. A pole vaulter, like, he's like this. He starts running, he just veers off to one side, flies off into somewhere. Yeah.
So the other thing is, it doesn't get in the summer. It doesn't get dark there, so you lose track of time. Properly lose track of time. Yeah. So it's like, time for the bus. We better head for the bus, or we're gonna have to get a taxi. Feck, how do we get out of this tree? Like, I can't get my. I mean, and also there's. I mean, even if we were sober, getting down was going to be much more difficult than getting up. Because I don't know if any of you have ever done this, climbed up something and realized getting back down is actually tricky. You have to hang.
Well, you know what?
And get your foot onto the foothold that you were on before, and your muscles are straining. And
very, very.
Anyway, a couple of us fell and took a couple of branches out. And
jeez.
Yeah. It's basically that, exactly that. So.
Well, talking about climbing up and not realizing where we were. So we were on Skye in 2020.
You didn't go up Old Manor Store.
Yes, my middle daughter, who's very adventurous and quite fearless. To be fair, they're all good. I mean, she's like a rat up a drain pipe when she climbs, right? And she just scarpered up Store, got right to the base of the main kind of monolith, whatever you want to call it. And then she looked down and went,
big bastard stone, right?
It's big. But she basically got to that. So you got all the scree. Is that scree? Is that what you call it?
Mm-hmm.
All the kind of broken rock. And she basically got up and went, amazing. This is fantastic. Then panicked because she couldn't get down. And then me and Paula were like, I said, I don't think I can get up there. I don't think, because I had a bad knee at the time. I was not in good shape, right? I'd made it to the top, but I was in a lot of pain. And Paula, it was so sad. Like Hero Dad did not exist that day. Hero Dad just sat there and went, I can't help, right? You're gonna have to do it yourself. So it's like, so Paula, I tried to get up one bit, and there was another woman like just in front of us, and she was sort of what's the word when you go sideways? Can't remember. Traversing, yeah. And she was knocking these quite sizable, like nearly head-sized bits of rock my direction.
You stay away from people I used to do a lot of rock climbing before.
So I had to kind of just stay at the base, and then Paula went around the other side and got up, and then of course she had to then talk her down, and it was like she just woof, and she does this thing like anywhere there's somewhere high, she'll climb trees, and I'm like, if you go beyond the distance I can get to, I cannot help you. It's just, you know what I mean? Actually, I've just remembered when I was at end of P7 before high school, we were the summer of '89. There was some big trees to hang around these big trees, a bunch of us, and one of my mates, he climbed to the absolute very top of a very big old tree, miles up, and fell, and he genuinely went doof, 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 bang, hit the ground, and just got up and went, shook it off, and just walked away, completely uninjured. But he hit like 15 branches.
Like that scene from The Simpsons where Homer falls down.
No, head straight forward. Yeah,
there's something speaking of The Simpsons, something Callan has got into in the last. He's got the impression of Ralph Wiggum down absolutely perfect.
I like men now. That Ralph Wiggum, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like,
I start fires.
I'm in danger. My teacher says he's tired of trying.
The best one is like he gets thrown through the window and goes, I'm a brick.
I haven't watched Simpsons for so long, but there are classic. I mean, I remember going to my friend's house in this probably the mid '90s. And he had some videos, and there was a few episodes he had. Wonder Bat. Remember Wonder Bat? This is where there's the baseball team, and Homer has this like magical bat, and there's another one where they go to like a candy convention. And Homer, various things happen, but the main crux of the storyline is that he gets accused of like filling up some lassie in his car, but it's only because she had a gummy bear stuck to her bum and he tried to grab it. But in that episode, they are they're at some candy convention, and there's like the world's sourest sour plum, right? I think they actually called it a sour plum in the episode. And the camera pans to one side, and then it pans back, and the sour plum's missing. And they go like, "Who's taking this sour plum?" And then the camera pans to Homer, and Homer's entire face is inside out. And all you see are two lips. And he goes, "Do you know what happened to the sour plum?" And he goes, "I don't know." his entire face is turned inside out because he's stolen the sour plum. I remember watching that. Like this is when I really first started watching Simpsons, because you had to have Sky to watch it, so we had it on video. And I almost
How many seasons
had
is
an
it now?
accident watching that. It was so funny,
It's
unbelievably funny.
How many
it's been
seasons? are
30
there?
odd years.
30 odds, yeah.
Something.
That's nuts, isn't it? Like when you think about it, is that the longest running show ever? It has to be.
Like
It's gotta be up there.
maybe of its type, but like things like Sesame Street have been going longer, and things like
Has it? Is it-
Law and Order has been going a long time, and
EastEnders,
Depends.
maybe.
the
Coronation
soap
Street.
operas have been going a long time. So depending on the type of the genre that you're talking about, it might.
I know. I mean, shows I respect.
Shows that are actually. Oh my god! I
Oh,
can't-
everything's a Father Ted reference with you, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry. 34 seasons, 750 episodes. Wow.
that would take a while to get through them all. And there's a whole bunch. There are some episodes in there which I think nowadays would be classed as problematic. So I don't know if you'd see. I don't know which ones are available on streaming. There's probably some episodes that have been dropped out just because they're a little bit dodgy. Modern times, all the rest of it.
Sure.
Modern
So
law.
their modern audiences are not.
Yeah, but I mean, stuff like that is
They're
inevitable,
offended. They're offended.
you know? It happens with every show.
It does, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
well, no, I can't talk about him. But, well,
No, let's not talk about him.
One
One thing I would say is I was watching maybe a year or two ago. I was watching. Lots of things have trigger warnings in front of them now, in case someone gets upset, right? And there was a trigger warning in front of Aliens. Now that seems fair because there is viscera and violence, and it's quite scary and all the rest of it. And it basically on Sky, if you go to watch it on demand, there's a trigger warning in front of it, and the trigger warning relates to one line in the film, which has nothing to do with the extreme violence and
Never mind.
horror.
Aliens popping.
Yeah, like
the
people
chest
getting
and-
torn to pieces. The thing which the trigger warning exists because of one of the greatest and this is what the thing about this line is. It's a perfect line. It's fantastic. It's great script writing and it's delivered perfectly. And it's a really good bit. It's just a really good line in the film. And it's when Hudson says to Vasquez is the female
Yes.
Marine with the big
Yeah.
gun. And he says to her, "Hey, Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a guy?" And she says, "I don't know, Hudson. Have you?" And it's a fantastic line. And actually,
Yeah.
It's perfect.
it lands perfectly now. It's not remotely problematic, but
there's a line
because-
like that in Top Gun Maverick. Have you seen it?
I have seen it, yeah. Seen it twice.
It's like are you
four
gonna-
times, actually. It's brilliant. Love it. But
there's a
the
line
point-
like that
the
in
point
Top Gun
is-
Ma-
The point is that line lands perfectly then, and it lands perfectly now because you get onto the sort of topic of what is the subject and what is the target of the
Yeah.
line, what is the joke. And the problem is that a lot of people nowadays can't differentiate between the subject and the target, and they don't realize that the target of that joke is Hudson. It's not Vasquez. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Vasquez's response is absolutely chef's
Spot
kiss.
on.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best lines in the film. And I couldn't, but I was like, that seriously, this is so like you could have like a young person watching this thing and seeing people's insides on their outsides, you know. And
I remember
but the thing I have to be warned about is this joke that might upset them. It's just
But stuff like that is not new. I remember going to when I worked in America, and that was back in 2000, and I was actually fairly shocked myself, that I was watching whatever film, like let's just say it was Rambo. It was some other film, but I was watching this guy machine gun entire groups of people, and that was fine. But all the swear words were beat, and I was like, I could not understand. Because I was coming from Ireland, but I was still very green in Ireland. I was technically coming from France. Like swearing or nudity was not a problem still even then. And I was just in America watching all this stuff, like people getting machine gun, like blood everywhere. But the cursing was bleeped, and I was like, really? Like that's the stuff you choose to be.
The rules on.
But
I don't know about.
I mean,
about, like, the rules on not censorship's not right, but the rules on like how you end up with an 18 rating or a 15 rating or whatever are like in order to get an 18 rating, for example, it has to be like, you know, quite like usually sexual violence or something like that, or like drug abuse and this sort of thing, really sort of dark kind of material, or just extreme violence. But let's say, for example, if this was a hero, the protagonist of the story that is meting out this, you know, machine gun killing everybody, if bad guys are getting killed and you're seeing them getting torn to pieces, then it gets a lower rating. If the good guys get that done to them, it's a higher rating.
Interesting.
It's like it's not the violence, it's who's perpetrating the violence and for what purpose. So in like a typical kind of like 80s action movie, your hero will dispense extraordinary levels of violence towards the bad guys and pick up like maybe a cut, or like Die Hard, his feet are cut and he's got a wee cut on his arm or something, but he's killed 50 people.
It was very eye-opening, and for the record, like I had no issues with the beeps, like the swear words being beeped, but I was like, well, if we're going down that road, we should really obfuscate or at least blur some of the imagery here, because things don't quite add up here. Yeah, it was very very interesting. But that was back in
the other thing,
2000. You know,
the other thing is
wow, Chucky,
Disco Inferno. Things like if you watch like a Marvel film where like Endgame, right? So or Infinity War, whichever one. So you've got this big huge battle and you're seeing aliens being torn apart and blasted by like energy beams and all the rest of it. It's okay because they're aliens. The rating is lower because they're not humans, and it's the heroes that are doing it. So the violence depicted, the hero, the violence that the injuries and the violence that's meted out against the heroes will determine the rating, not the villains. It's okay to see a villain torn to pieces, for example. Although I tell you, we were watching.
Good point, actually. Yeah, I never thought of it that way as well. No.
Have you watched? I don't know how into Marvel you are, but I mean the quality has dropped. Let's be honest, right? But they had this series come out recently called Secret Invasion, which is a 15, and it's one of the first ones that was like a 15. I was like, why is it a 15? There's no swearing, there's no sexual violence. It's quite violent, but it's Marvel, it's comic book violence ultimately. But I was watching it with my 12-year-old, and there's a scene where she just turned 13, so she's an older 12, but she's 13 now. But there's a scene where one of the characters gets tortured and he gets his finger cut off, and she really went like she got a proper fright when it happened. And I knew it was. I'm like, oh, you knew it was coming because she's got a pair of wire cutters in her hand, and the guy is just holding the guy's hand down, like she's going to do it. But we didn't expect to see it on camera, and you see her, cut the guy's fingers.
Oh wow, okay.
And that's in a comic book movie, but it's a 15. So that, and she's quite sensitive to that sort of thing. So I was like, oops, I probably shouldn't have let you see that, But I mean, she's moved on. She's not like not sleeping or anything, but she did get like quite affected by it. But again, I said, that's a bad guy. That's a bad guy who's just had his finger chopped off. It's not a good guy. It's a bad guy. So that probably wasn't what gave it a 15 rating. It would be something else that gave it the 15 rating.
It was it was a wank. You need to have the proper. It was wank. It wasn't bad guy.
It was wank. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We were talking about whether there's a. Did you say something earlier? Where there's a beer called Wank?
There is a beer called Wank. Yeah.
Right. See, that's cool because I was.
Oh, it's not cool. There's a beer called Wank.
No, the reason I mention it is because
it's factually correct, but it's not cool, right?
but it's not in English, is it? It means something else, presumably.
Yes.
No, it was
So-
German. German.
German beer,
But
yeah. So
John lives near the Good Guys brewery, so we get Good Guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
800 meters that way.
So we have Wank, and for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, just Google Wank versus Good Guy, chewing the fat, and you'll go and see it.
I mean, well, there's an example actually of a show where a large number of episodes are no longer available on streaming because they're problematic, because the jokes
How
are.
can they be problematic? Come on,
They-
if they're problematic, then the world can feck off.
There was Karen Dunbar, who's a member of the troupe from Chewing the Fat, did a documentary last year where
Yeah.
she basically sat. She met young people, and they sat in a room and they watched episodes, and some of them were crying.
Laughing
them
or crying?
No, crying because they were upset because they felt targeted by the humor.
What humour? That's Scottish humour.
I don't want to go into it.
Jesus.
This is Karen Dunbar, right? Who
Who's the biggest gay,
lesbian
lesbian ever?
Yeah. It's like the problem is I think people now are. I think there's a disconnect between, as I said, what the target of the joke is and what the subject of the joke is, and that just basic ability to like look at something and go, obviously that's not directed at me or people like me. It's directed at the person saying it.
No,
Whereas someone like Bernard Manning will stand up and just say racist things, there's somebody else like Ricky Gervais might stand up and make a joke where he's basically drawing attention to how stupid racist people are. And he does it in a particular way. But some people go, oh, that was a racist joke. Well, of course it's not a racist joke. It's drawing attention to how awful racist people are in a funny way. But if you lack the ability and the critical thinking and the basic sense of humor to figure that out, then you're going to go, I'm offended by that. And that's the problem.
It's something I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks. And I've realized that, I hate calling it like nerd or geek culture, right? But what we sort of nerdy geeky thing, right, used to be about being intellectual, being kind of open-minded, but at the same time not taking offense at anything. But the problem, I think, is that nerdy/geeky stuff has become really cool over the last 10, 15 years. And people who are hilariously superficial are now in that space, where they never would have been before, right? And they've kind of screwed things up big time.
I think it's funny because I think there are degrees of geekiness and nerdiness, and I think like a nerd is different to a geek. I think we've talked about this before. Like somebody who knows who scored a penalty from the spot in the 1975 FA Cup final between Brentford and whatever, who knows every single player in each team and can tell you who won the league that year and who the top scorer was. That's a geek. It's a football geek, but it's a geek. It's somebody who just knows way more. But you can be like that, but not be. I get it, right? I mean, my daughter's autistic, so it's like you fixate on things and you know all the facts and figures. And I feel like saying, like, if you just applied this to like your subjects at school, you'd walk your exams because you fixate on it, Yeah. So like my youngest is she moves between things, but while she's into a thing, she's absolutely like laser focused on it and knows all the facts and figures and the stats, whatever it is, Pokemon or.
No, I get it. I get that.
So, yeah.
But where I was coming from is there are people who are narcissists and they are leveraging the geek culture to their own ends.
But these people would leverage whichever.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't.
Culture but in the past, like in the 80s, the geeky thing, like war gamesy type culture in the 80s and 90s, there wouldn't be so many narcissists involved in that. It was almost like a defense against that.
Yeah. Like
that's where
what you have is people who 20, 30 years ago would be considered outsiders and on the periphery of things But most of whom would probably go on to be quite successful people, probably in an IT kind of field, and they probably end up with a trophy wife and a big house and all the rest of it. But ultimately, when they're like in their teens, they're awkward and they're into fantasy, role playing, and all the rest of it.
I don't know what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever.
But it's
my trophy wife's not going to come on stream. Sorry.
my trophy wife came on briefly, and I got a little kiss from her. Which was nice. But,
what's that line? Be nice to nerds, you'll end up working for one.
Exactly. And I said to all three of my kids, like, over the years, it's like, and then they're all probably, my eldest is a real geek, right? She covers she's got all the kind of things. But I said to them, like, you just don't diss the geeks, because the geeks are the ones that go to uni, do well, and they end up working in IT, and before you know it, they're on, north of 70 grand a year within a few years. And those are the ones, and not only that, these geeks will worship the ground you walk on, because they'll realize how lucky they are. They're not going to go out, they're going to play Warhammer with their friends and talk about, and Dungeons and Dragons, and talk about Amigas on a Friday night instead of going out on the lash trying to pull girls in nightclubs. And that's the thing. And they won't make especially major demands of you. You just and you'll be grand. And it's and give them a chance. Give the geeks a chance. Give them a chance. But like I say, these guys are all mainstream now. Everyone's a geek. Everyone's into geek culture. Yeah. Stranger Things comes along and popularizes Dungeons and Dragons, and then a few years after that, lockdown happens, and everybody starts getting into Dungeons and Dragons and playing online and stuff like that. So it's it's just one of those things. You're right, though. There are people involved in these things which latch onto them because they're the prevailing popular culture of the day. What is that noise? Are you hitting sound effects there? Class.
Someone is playing you.
Sorry.
That's
so yeah.
Sounded like
I need to go and get a beer, so I shall be back in a moment.
Yes. That almost sounded like a Yamaha DX7 something.
It's a Juno brass. I'm trying to find it. It's kind of hard to do. And
I'm hoping that Dermot will bring around his Prophet Rev 2 when we have our little piss up.
That is a cool machine, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're going Terracan-y on me. You've been infected by Chris.
Yeah, I need to get into motion before September. I have a few covers to do, and I need to actually get covers done for September as well.
The Amiga crowd, great bunch of lads.
Top lads, mate. Top lads. All the lads.
That's in October.
No, it was a little joke that Ollie and I have between us. When he's doing these covers, and if he doesn't get it spot on, he get stick from the Amiga people. Just like if I don't do the accelerator perfect, I'll get stick from the Amiga.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The Amiga covers, you really have to get just right. It doesn't have to be like perfect, like as in just the most amazing cover, but it has to be right. Like the notes have to be there, and the spirit has to be there. Like any other.
You mean in terms of the feedback you get from people?
Yeah, covers from any other platform, you can take some liberties.
Even C64.
I haven't done much 664 stuff
because I mean
C64.
They are religious.
The Amiga covers, you have to. There's no leeway for interpretation. You have to get them spot on, because otherwise, like, your comment section would be just.
It's not a Fishwives without either Dave or Steven.
It's not a Fishwives without Dave.
Well, do some.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
How are you, Dave?
I said to.
It's only a few. It's only a few people. It's not. Oh,
watch.
I'm absolutely. Hang on, I can't hear anyone.
You can't hear us.
Can you? Oh, can you hear us at all?
I've
No?
just muted the stream, and there's nothing coming through here.
Ah. Well, we'll keep talking for Dave
The
then.
stream is like 2 minutes delayed or 5 minutes or something.
Oh, what's going on?
It's extreme.
We can hear you fine, Dave, though. Poor Dave.
He's logging back in again.
So, but going back to what we were talking about earlier, for me, the epitomization of Scottish culture is the Ed Byrne sketch, where he talks about Scots people insult you in the hope that you'll insult them back. And
the strange thing is that I didn't know that about you, and you insulted me, and I insulted you back, and I didn't know that you had expected that one. And I'm
I'll be honest with you, Stephen. I don't think that is necessarily a Scottish trait.
Well, it was.
It's the Edinburgh.
Okay.
I think there's an element of region and class will come into that.
Really?
You know what I mean? I think so. I think if you were a what's the I'm trying to remember the name of the street, Byers Road, Glasgow, hello kind of thing, and you were just taking the piss out of everyone. We go, what are you taking the piss out of me for? I think it depends.
Well,
on
I think I can
bring all the rest of it.
I think I can safely. I'm not going to tell everybody where I live, but I think I can fucking safely say Byers Road can go fuck itself, and I'm still like that, right? If you insult me back, I love it. Okay.
I mean, you might be right to some extent, Andrew, but I think there's just a broader cultural kind of trait.
Yeah.
Like I find Irish people and Irish culture is not dissimilar to Scottish in that sense, as in
there's a self-deprecating element as well. As in, we put ourselves down, we don't talk ourselves up, and because
which coming from France, like, took me a while to get, because you don't do that in French culture. Like, if somebody tells you to fuck off, you go fuck off.
Okay, then.
Well, I don't know why I hooked up on Stephen. I can't remember what it was, but you.
Sorry, Dave.
Didn't say something offensive, and I just go, well, fuck you yourself.
I don't think I've ever fucked off on request in my life.
And I mean, Swedish are like Finns. We don't talk.
Yeah, it's Scots.
We talk.
In Scots,
we talk
it's
a
a
lot.
bit like.
I know.
Like, okay,
talking
I
is a
think,
national pastime.
Well,
Taking
it
the
is.
piss is a national pastime.
It is, but it's also, you're not allowed. Like, you've got to have banter, you've got to have patter, but you're not allowed to get a big head.
Yeah,
that's it. So you gotta. It's sparring. It's constant sparring, right? And I think it keeps I think in some senses it keeps the brain active.
Yeah, it keeps you sharp.
As long as it's not. It does tend to, I think, for especially when you're younger, it can easily turn into bullying. In Scotland, it really, really can, and I think I don't think that happens. I think when you're older, that you leave that behind. You're not quite as insecure.
Yeah,
I think insecurity turns people into bullies that way.
Yeah, and bullying is rife. I mean, we've had. To be honest with you, it's always been there. Yeah, bullying is a bit different now because there's more channels for kids to do it through, and it's much harder to keep tabs on it. And also, like 30 years ago, discipline at my kids' school. I had to go in and speak to the headmaster last term because of treatment my youngest was getting. She's autistic. And there was something happened. Actually, it was also something that happened to my eldest as well. I might have mentioned this before. Basically, the school were doing a yearbook, and the school, the prefects, so the head boy, head girl, deputy, or vice captains and captains, whatever, they were pulling together this yearbook, and they came up with categories. Now, typically, in the yearbook's another American import, right? We just don't do here, but for some reason they do it now.
I fucking hate all that shit.
I know, right? So, and in the yearbook you have categories, right? So a typical category might be most likely to succeed, most likely to be on TV. Usually they're lighthearted and all the rest of it.
You get the odd fun one, but it's never nasty. It's never mean.
Well,
Well, it shouldn't be.
So this group of supposedly the school's brightest and best came up with a list of categories, which they ran past one of the teachers, who happens to be the principal of RE. This is a Catholic school, by the way, and who somehow gave this a green light. And they basically distributed these voting slips to everybody, and some of them were like most likely to be on the first person to be on OnlyFans, most likely to right. It's funny, but it's totally inappropriate. Right?
It's only funny because it's inappropriate. Yeah,
it's inappropriate, right? Yeah. Most likely to die a virgin.
Oh Jesus!
Most likely, and then you get
that's
likely
really tragic. Yeah,
it was very
miles
negative.
off. Miles off.
One of them was person who needs to be humbled. That was the wording. But basically, who needs to be brought down a peg? And my daughter was in the library studying in a group of S6s. It was year 6s in the library. Didn't know she was there, and she heard them discussing, and they said, who should we vote for that? And one of the lasses says, "Oh, Erin Clark. She needs to be brought down a peg." And then she just stood up. Erin stood up, packed her stuff, walked past them, and you could see that she said they all just went, "Oh my god, didn't know she was there." She called my wife, and she got picked up from school that day. And I was in the school the following day meeting the headmaster, saying, "What the fuck is this all about? Right?
I mean, that is
what on earth are you doing?" And he tried to
doing.
Well,
I said,
well, what happened was they brought all the S6. I said to them, "Your captain, your head boy, head girl, vice captains need to be punished. They need to be taken. They need to be doing nothing to do with this, and this entire thing has to be, redone." What he said to me was, "This is a no punishment school."
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that you're right about punishing them for it, because kids will be kids. That was agreed by a teacher. If that went past a teacher, and that was agreed.
Yeah,
the year head.
I think head should have pushed back at it and said, "Hang on a minute, that might not be taken the right way." And it wasn't.
Well, actually, what I said to them was, when you consider the children today. And all the don't get me wrong, we always had pressures on us, right? But I think it is different now. But the pressure of social media and that bullying element and the focus on mental health, and when you take into account COVID and all the rest of it, you have some very vulnerable kids who have problems with self-esteem and all the rest of it. And this, you're literally giving the popular kids in school a channel through which they can officially bully them. And when
every single kid has a problem with self-esteem, and that's what bullying is. That's some kids sorting out their own self-esteem and robbing it off other people. Yeah,
this isn't sparring and good-natured fun, right?
This is nasty as shit. This is really nasty.
I'm telling you, if that happened to my kid in my school, I would be going in there sweating like fucking
I'll tell you what happened.
I'd be phoned the absolutely school. Cold. I would be cold. Yeah. I'd be sitting there.
Erin brought the paper.
I'd be bringing my counselor with me. That's how bad it would be.
So she brought it. She told us about it, and it was before 5 o'clock. So I figured that the headmaster would still be there. I phoned the school. Somebody answered, and I said, "I need to speak to the headmaster immediately." And they said, "Oh well, we've got a procedure." I said, "Well, what's your procedure?" "Well, you have to speak to the guidance teacher." And I was like, "Fine." So the guidance teacher phoned me back the following day, and I said, "Thanks for calling me. I need to speak to the headmaster immediately." "Oh, I need to escalate to so-and-so." "Whatever. Do that for me now then." Then somebody phoned me back. I said, "I need to speak to the headmaster immediately." And then eventually I got to speak to him on the phone, and I told him a new arsehole on the phone. But it was that whole kind of like, why am I jumping through hoops? I mean, my parents are both retired teachers, and I told them about it, and they were like, "I'm surprised you didn't just go straight to the newspaper." Because what you've got to remember, and this is Scotland, and obviously John, and maybe to an extent, you won't appreciate this necessarily, but the Scottish school system is quite strange in that we have a state Catholic education system and a what we call a non-denominational education system. A non-denominational is not I don't think it's a fair description, because when you go to non-denominational school, you're still singing hymns at assembly, and you're still saying.
So there's no separation between them.
At most.
Yeah, the point being that I mean, if you go back far enough, the reason the Catholic schools exist at all is because Irish immigrants that came to Scotland weren't entitled to the education that the public schools provided because it was this Kirk, it was the Scottish Church that provided the education. So they had to set up their own schools, and obviously that just created a segregated environment. And obviously we have all the sectarian problems we have today.
You also have a completely separate
Hi, John.
thing with GME in Glasgow. And
GME,
Gaelic Medium Education.
Oh yeah. So
which is
so
basically
Gaelic.
the Chichters.
The Gaelic, not the Chichters. Don't call them the Chichters. You can't call them Chichters.
I can call them the Chichters. You can't.
That's what we're talking about this earlier on. If you own if you own the word, you can use it.
So I'm not familiar with the idea of the yearbook. Is that something where people get?
So yeah, in America, it was an American thing where basically at the end of high school, people would have their photo taken, and there would be people vote, and that's the yearbook is where you get the prom queen.
Yearbook isn't about the vote. The yearbook is about producing a book that you keep for the rest of your life. You can look back on, and you can see who's in your school. Everyone signs it, and it's got pictures of everyone in it, and it's got a wee message in it. So it's a kind of a memento of your school times, but it ends up growing arms and legs and ridiculous, and it turns into any kind of popularity, bullying, ridiculous.
Live with the fact that somebody said, "Okay, that's written on your yearbook about you." Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
The curious thing is they did go back and redo the yearbook, but they haven't. It's not been published yet. And what annoys, and my wife said to me, "Have you seen it?
The harm is done at this stage." Yeah.
And it was like, well, because they paid for it. Like the kids, they had to raise money to make the yearbook and get it like a glossy yearbook done on this. So we paid money for it, and we've not seen it.
Yeah, but the heart is done at this stage. Like, so even if it's changed, like they'll remember that. Okay, well, this was changed, or this says that because it said that before. Like, the
really sad thing was the girl that said, "Oh, Erin needs to be brought down a peg," when she was actually quite a nice girl, and I think she was one of the sort of senior head girl or something like that. And sorry, just saying, and she apologized. She spoke to her and she apologized to her and she said, "I didn't know you. Because Erin's she was quite a."
I bet
that's kids being kids. It shouldn't have passed through a teacher.
No, it's okay for kids to think that. You can't expect all the kids to like your daughter, so that's okay. But the idea of going past a teacher, it then turns into sanctioned and encouraged bullying. It's absolutely that's incredibly stupid. Hello.
This is number 2 daughter. She's going to bed now.
Hello, number 2. You take the night.
This is Saoirse.
It's Saoirse. Rate your kids.
Right. Good night.
We're all behaving ourselves for a moment or two.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
She's a proper widow, this one.
And scene.
So mean.
Nothing wrong with being a widow.
Oh, it's characterful, isn't it?
Yeah.
until they start to really irritate.
Go too far. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the purpose.
So what was the outcome of it all with it? Did the school come to terms with how stupid they'd been?
Right. So as I said, I went in to meet the head teacher, and he good night, Don. And he was obviously mortified about what happened, and it won't happen again. And we brought all the S6s into our room, and we told them that it was unacceptable, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, great, brilliant. Okay, what punishments did they get? Did any of these people suffer any consequences for their actions? Oh no, we're not a punishment school. You know, we learn from our experiences and we move on. Right. Okay, so they got away with it then. They got away with it. Learning. They were able to do this, and in their quiet time between themselves, they can all laugh about it, about all the things they did, and they got away with. And it's like, anyway, he knows he's on notice because, as I said, there was something else happened with my youngest as well, and they know that she's autistic. They know that there's not special needs because she's class is high functioning. She's very bright. She'll do well, but she's just social skills and stuff are a bit left field.
We all know a lot of people like that.
Indeed, we do.
I have no idea what you're talking about again.
But she's a wee smasher, she does really well. But yeah, it's as we're parents, we're very protective of our offspring. And one of the things I would say is, I didn't go to that particular school, but all 14 of my cousins went to that school, and all 14 of them did very well. And the school had a good reputation until comparatively
So
recently.
what
but
did they do wrong?
what did you do wrong?
Oh,
If
just
they-
so it's for me. I wouldn't care whether the pupils got punished or not. For me, it would be the teacher. The teacher allowed that. That was the danger there. The kids can have bad ideas. They have stupid ideas, and it's a case of saying to them, "That's wrong. You can't do that."
Yeah,
Instead
it was
of
the
that's
principal
okay.
teacher of religious education
Yes. Yeah.
Still needs to be consequences.
at a Catholic school.
I grew up in
Well,
a Catholic school as well.
In defence of non-denominational schools, they're not too keen in bullying there either. Theoretically, it's not as if you can't bully people at a Catholic school.
I would warrant that Catholic schools are more bullying going on there than anywhere else.
But that's religious bullying, though.
No,
Fear
that's
of
just,
God.
no, that's just bullying.
Just your
bullying.
garden variety bullying, yeah.
And without the context of what we're talking about there, 'cause I don't hear the background of it, there should always be consequence. You know,
Yeah, we're just talking about
consequence.
a situation that happened at my daughter's school where the sort of ringleaders of what effectively amounted to organized, sanctioned bullying of other kids in the school suffered absolutely no consequences whatsoever after it had been brought to light.
I
Shocking,
think it
absolutely
could have been, but it's even at that point, it can still be handled well without singling out anyone and punishing them. If we say, "Oh, we got this wrong," no,
yeah.
But
that's what I find.
Thing. Even if you're going to sit down and say, even just sit down with them and say, "What do we now do about this? How do we make this right?" And let them
Teachers
talk about
don't do that. Teachers don't do
But
that.
the other thing you got to bear in mind is where the school's general policy on dealing with delinquent behaviour is a non-punishment reaction or response. Like my Saoirse, who just came on there, she came home from school towards the end of last year's term, quite often and very upset and in tears because there were kids just disrupting the classroom. So you have your classic situation where you have a supply teacher.
Yeah.
And everyone just takes the absolute piss out of them. Absolutely.
Ollie, you're the supply teacher today, by the way.
Was that sorry?
Ollie's the supply teacher today because he's taken over running this Fishwives.
Oh, sir, like throwing things at you and stuff. We're talking about kids that are completely disrupting classrooms.
Yeah.
And it impacts them. And I'm like, if you're a disruptive pupil, we're going back to where this came from. 30 years ago, if you behaved like that, you were out.
I mean, I can understand that there's a. It is maybe very helpful to make sure kids understand the impact and put themselves in other people's shoes rather than just give them a punishment. But I don't think you should swing from one extreme to the other and say that's it solved. The idea of removing punishments from the scheme seems.
I mean, I haven't quite. I was going to keep quiet on this, but my wee boy's got a temper on him. A bit like me. I'm a bit controlled.
Shit, really? No.
I was a bit of a rage when I was younger as well.
But my wee boy's got a bit of a temper on him. But he's been picked on a wee bit because he's a bit like me, to be honest. Right? He's not
like all of us, yes.
And he was once there was a particularly nasty kid in his class for a couple of years. I'm not going to say his name, but this was beyond the usual. There's the usual school jock that kind of roughs the guys up and asserts dominance, right? This was beyond that. This guy was putting Callan's hand in a drawer, slamming it and telling him he deserved that, right? Oof. And he would lock Callan in a cupboard, and Callan would get told off for getting locked in a cupboard. And the school was doing feck all about it. Right? So
that's common with bullying. They heard that's common. They deal with the victim.
Yeah.
It's easier to deal with the victim.
Yeah, but the thing is, now the problem is these teachers. Well, the problem in inverted commas is these teachers. I know who they are, and I know where they come from, and I can go back and trace back to their families and start. And that's what I had to start doing. No, it's not that.
My dad, or your dad, yeah.
No, it's not that. No. It's like, right, well, you're from this village, right? Well, my relative X is from this village. I'm going to have to go and have a word with them because you're not dealing with us. And that's how we,
I don't get why they, if they can't deal with it, why they don't escalate it. Why how can you go home at night knowing that's happening and knowing that that it's on your watch?
It's Callan's fault because Callan had an anger problem. See, it was all his fault. It was all about.
No kid under any circumstances deserves either of those two things to happen to them. No matter what, there's no circumstances where that's deserved or earned, and no reasonable person would think that.
Well, we're this close about taking them out of school and putting them somewhere else. But then that kid left, went somewhere else. Thank God. But
there's a phenomenon.
Do you get a solicitor involved? Is there something you can do there rather than take your kid out? Because Callum would suffer from that.
Education officer, you get we've written to the education. We wrote to the education officer over my youngest's situation, and we also involved them in the situation around the bullying, and that very, very sharply focuses their attention.
So, we're a wee bit off topic.
I don't think there's necessarily a topic to this thing, but to the credit of the teachers, I mean, I don't think they're necessarily aware of the bullying itself. What they see is Callum's behavior maybe in school. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid and I moved to the village when my mother met my stepdad, I was new to the village, and the kids for about 2 years would literally, that's what happened, would wait for me out after school in a big line, about 4 or 5 of them, and just take turns to punch me in the stomach. Because so that that was horrible, but the way it manifested itself is I wouldn't tell anything to my parents, I wouldn't say anything to my parents, but in school I would start crying or just be upset or be very kind of like throw tempers or something like that for no reason. I know now why. So my parents would be called because I was disruptive in class and causing issues. Now, the teachers didn't see any of the bullying that was happening because that was happening after school or at the bus or in the bus or that kind of stuff. So they went to the teachers a few times just to explain what was happening, and the teacher was like, well, we're not seeing any of this. What we're seeing is it's being disruptive. So I don't think the teachers necessarily know anything about what's happening to him.
Well, I think I've met, apart from Dave, I've met everybody in this room. In this, my kids' teacher at the time, across the shoulders, she was 2 times me across the shoulders. She was terrifying. Terrifying woman. She was my height, and she came from the same village my grandmother came from, and I was like, I'm terrified of her, but I'm absolutely terrified.
I touched on briefly earlier about the fact that there's back in our day, if you were a disruptive child, you'd be excluded, you'd be expelled from school. Right?
But I do think exclusions were a bit too premature back then, right?
Possibly, yeah. But the thing now is, there is now a financial incentive for, because so like kids, this is the thing, like, so my kids go to school diligently every day and try their hardest and all the rest of it, right? There are kids who get paid to go to school in Scotland. They get given a financial incentive to go to school, to stay at school. So back in our day, the Bampots would leave by the end of S4, fourth year.
As soon as
they would go, and most of them, by the way, would very quickly settle down, and they weren't Bampots forever. And you bump into them 3 or 4 years later, and their sound is anything, right? Yes. Because they've got their heads screwed on, they've got a job, or an apprenticeship or whatever.
Also, school didn't treat them well either.
No, school not everybody has an academic bent, and it doesn't necessarily suit them. So they come out of school just unhappy and without getting what not meeting the expectations of teachers.
So they're getting paid to stay for S5 and S6.
They get paid to stay in school.
That's fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Excuse my.
I can see how you get the logic to get to there, but it's wrong.
That's how we do things in Scotland.
That is everything. That and I that is.
So if you leave school, you lose your.
No,
you lose your
I get it, but that is exact. I know who made that policy as well.
yeah. So you end up. What happens is you end up in S5 and S6, which those of you who are not from Scotland have no idea what I'm talking about. But the last 2 years of school, the BAM pots are still there and they're still disruptive, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That was the best bit about S5 and S6. Like the fucking loonies had left.
They leave, and then you get like a stay of execution because is that the right word? I don't know. But you end up at the BAM pots go. Your chief tormentors have gone.
Yeah.
And then what happens is like 4 or 5 years later, when maybe you're in second year at uni or something, third year at uni, and you bump into these boys and they realize you're all right, and you realize they weren't too bad. And
so they're working in the co-op now, and you're working.
Or they're working as plumbers or
no, absolutely.
Yeah, they've got a tradesman. It turns out they're not idiots,
and they've got married and they've got a kid, and they're not BAMPOTs anymore.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know if any of the BAMPOTs I went to school with turned out all right. I can't think.
Some of them for sure end up in jail, right? Let's be honest, right? Some of them are proper lunatics.
It's important to say that they were quickly found out to be not suited for school and treated that way by teachers. So it's in some ways it was inevitable that they were sitting there, didn't want to be there, weren't wanted to be there, and they didn't behave themselves as a result.
If you want to join in the Scottish Education panel show,
should we move on? I've got one wee story. My niece came back from school, and she was 5 years old. She came back from school, and she said that Paddy had punched her. I was for almost 2 or 3 seconds. I was almost going there to batter Paddy until I realised, hang on, Paddy is also 5 years old.
I know. But I tell you what, right? A lot of these kids, when especially boys, when boys get to the age of 16, 17, they're effectively men. They're big lads. They're
physically, perhaps.
Well, I certainly was.
They can pack a punch. They can be dangerous. They're also, I remember reading something about. Right, does anyone here know what proprioception is?
No.
Proprioception is a sense. It's a sixth sense. It's not really a sixth sense. But effectively, when people started building robots, like robots to try and walk, and they kept on falling over, they couldn't figure out why they were falling over. It's because they had to build in sensors and effectively brains in every single joint so that you know where you are. So proprioception is effectively how you know whether you're standing straight, left, wobble, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It is
hampered by alcohol.
It is, but I've completely lost my train of thought because I was trying to explain something. Why was
spatial awareness?
Yeah. So basically, what happens is, as you're growing, your proprioception takes a bit of time to catch up with you. So if you have a growth spurt, so you see you're a teenage boy who goes, and a lot of them do, they go, they grow like a foot in a summer. Then their proprioception hasn't caught up.
3 feet.
So you end up with this kind of, your center of gravity is 2 feet above your head, and you're just falling over and banging into things, and it's a real thing. So you get these like really awkward, big, strong boys who just like accidentally like send people to the hospital.
And that's why Stephen was walking funny when he was here.
I'm still like that.
It's a real thing. Look it up. It was a physio told me about it. I was like, oh my god, that's so true. Proprioception is what lets you do this when your eyes are closed. Hold your like touch your nose and things like that. So
you're aware of it's like inertial reference type of thing. Yeah.
That's really, really interesting.
Look it up. It's really cool. Or are you being facetious, Dave?
No, I'm not. It's really, it's something that it's not surprising because it makes perfect sense. But I've never thought about it, heard about it, worked it out.
I had to go see a physio about a problem I had with my ankle, right? And he said to me, right, stand on your right leg, right? So I'm standing. Put your arms out to the side. So I'm standing there, like I'm like this, And then he goes. He goes, close your eyes. And I went, because like, as soon as I closed my eyes, I just lost it. I just couldn't do it. And then the other thing as well is like, so I'm standing there, I'm relatively stable. And then it was my left ankle I had a problem with. And he said, do the same thing with your left ankle. And I closed my eyes and I was just like this. I couldn't stand up straight. completely sober. It's mental. And he said that's proprioception. And that was because I'd injured myself and my body hadn't adjusted to account for the fact that I had this injury. So anyway, it's fascinating stuff. It's cool. Anyway, retro computers, guys.
Welcome to Grumpy Fox podcast.
How's
If you want to
how's your-
join, the link is on top of the live chat.
I was
How's
going to
your
say
Amiga 500 build?
Sorry, Dave. I was going to say one thing on this subject. One of the things that pisses me off the most in schools is when they say that people only have 5 senses. It pisses me off because it's so fucking wrong. You know, schools tell people they only have 5 senses: touch, taste, smell. What is it? Touch, taste,
Hearing.
smell,
Hearing,
hearing.
taste,
Yeah.
sight.
Hangover.
And then I've had arguments with people about this, and they said, "Well, what's another sense?" I said, "Just like a really simple one is a sense of balance. You have a sense of balance. You know when you're in balance, right?
You know when you're upside down.
Yeah.
And your sense of balance is certainly helped by some of your other senses, but not not entirely. There's more to it than just those.
You don't have to touch something to know something is hot.
No, that's right. Yeah.
You have a sense of temperature. You have a sense of temperature. So it's a pile of bullshit. Anyway, sorry. Back to the retro computing.
Dave,
Yeah.
you just mentioned your build.
Yeah, I mentioned your build actually.
My build,
my-
yeah. So I very briefly mentioned the fact that before you came on the call, I was saying that I have that's it right there. There's a Checkmate 1500 case in that box with a A1200 ATX power adapter and an LG optical drive carriage and the faceplate as well, and all the screws and everything. They're all there. And you and I are going to have I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a clandestine meetup, as is the way with retro computing. Do some handover, some gear, in a lay-by somewhere. I don't know.
Got a
And
suggestion. Paul Kemet Country Park.
right. So I've
Was it at the same time?
I've had quite a good retro week because I've bought, as I mentioned earlier, I've bought a new Indivision for my A1200s, which means if any of you fine people would be interested in an Indivision Mark II, it's going to be going for sale soon. And I've been trying to work out the best. I really love this because it's been a couple of years since I've actually done like a build where I've had to work out what I'm going to do. And the thing about the Checkmate case. Like, so initially I'm going to go with a RGB to HDMI Pi, simple, straightforward kind of scan doubling output kind of thing. But ultimately, I was telling my mates last night while I was geeking out at D&D that I'm going to spend 400 quid I've just spent 300 quid on a case for my Amiga. I'm going to spend another 400 quid on a ZZ9000 as soon as I can get one. And they're like,
Would you like some help enabling yourself?
I don't need much help to enable myself. I mean, I'm.
Your wife.
She knows.
The thing is,
the case is that expensive?
The thing is, but anything else that you
not the case. The Zorro board's 100 quid on top of the case.
Anything that normal people have bought on computers in their lifetime has dropped in value by 50% as soon as you get hold of it, and then drops like a stone until the point where it's useless. I don't think if people understood that Amigas and retro generally holds its value and you can get most of your money back eventually when you want to.
Yeah, but again, one of my mates pointed out last night, it only has value if you intend to sell it, right? So it doesn't have any value if you intend to sell it.
Yeah.
But the point is, I have an A1200 which sits here in front of us, right? Which is here, and I want to build this A500 Checkmate. Show off. I want to build this A500 plus Checkmate build and have it in the sitting room under the TV, quite discreetly. It's quite big, but it's black and it will look quite discreet. The Virgin box will sit on top of it. I've got my sound bar and my subwoofer will sit underneath it. I've already put the case in there to see what it looks like, and it'll be absolutely fine. And obviously I can't play AGA games, but there's not that many AGA games. And most of the AGA games are just fancier versions of games the same games that you can get on ECS. So my intention is to get the wireless gamepad adapters and a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard and sit it under my telly. I'm gonna try and get one of the next Solar Spores that Rob builds as well,
Right.
because I want to have that for absolutely no. It's like, why, Andrew? I want to have, because at the bottom of the case there's an open grill, and I'm going to put some LEDs in there, and I want it to look like I want it to do the whole, in fact, hang on. Those of you who might not have seen what this actually does. So if someone's playing music just now, aren't they? I don't know if you've got
Must be Ollie.
Is Ollie playing music? Right. So if
Sorry,
I do that,
I'm Brady.
so you can see. That's not too loud, is it?
Copyright strike. Copyright strike. Copyright strike.
Quiet enough. I'll turn it down. Anyway.
Seriously, copyright strike.
Copyright strike. Shut that off. 8-bit Manshed is shut down due to copyright strike.
No, that's just one. You need 3.
That's Hoffman, isn't it?
Shut it off!
I put the volume all the way down, but it was still coming through, which is a bit strange. Like literally turned the volume all the way down.
I think
on
music
audio.
music is not allowed on the Fishwives.
Speaking of which, can you hear the music in the background here?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's there.
I'm sorry.
Very gently.
Very.
Anyway, so the plan is. I hope you don't get a copyright strike for that. But you only get a copy if you're. It only matters if you're monetizing. Are you monetizing?
I'm very monetized, but no, it'll be a copyright claim, which means it doesn't matter. Those videos aren't meant to be monetized anyway.
Yeah, as long as you don't play Guns N' Roses, you're fine.
No. To be fair, that just plays a random mod when you open it. So that it just happened. It could have played Lotus Turbocharged and we were even fine. Anyway, the idea is that I put the Solas board into that, and then I have the lights under the grill. I'll put USBs in on the clock port as well, and I probably won't use them for anything, but it'll be like it's got USBs.
Stephen, the big screen up there.
So mine is going to, the big screen looks great. Mine is going to be an Amiga 1200 in the same Checkmate case. And I've got an Amiga 500 keyboard in the Checkmate shell. You can plug an Amiga 500 keyboard into 1200. I think most of you guys will know that. And it's got a terrible fire going in as well. And really, that's
not that shy.
I know. There's no FPU, so it's and the IDE is only 700 kilobytes a second, so it's fucking shite.
It does have an FPU, doesn't it?
No, it's no FPU. It's fucking useless.
You know, you can just chuck an FPU on the main board.
Do you know what I could do is I could take an FPU and chuck it in through the floppy drive slot and just leave it loose in there, and it would do just as good.
It's good, yeah.
It's going to be a basic 1200 as far as you guys are concerned. That's very expensive because of all the things I'm doing with it, but it's going to be for me, the person who doesn't really have an Amiga, it's going to be the one Amiga that I have, and it'll do all the Amiga I need it to do.
That's very cool.
The only reservations I have about taking an A500 Plus and putting it in a modern case, and I don't have the same reservations with my 1200 because it's still there, is that it will no longer resemble an Amiga. It has a kind of pseudo Amiga 3000-ish kind of look to it.
You mean
I'm okay that?
one?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want an Amiga that looked like an Amiga because it's going to sit next to my Atari Mega STE, and the Amiga is just the Amiga design is a knockoff of that. So I don't want the knockoff sitting next to the whole thing. I wanted the Amiga to look. I'm just joking.
Come on.
No, I wanted the big box Amiga look for me. I didn't have an Amiga, so I don't have one that I'm nostalgic for. So it was ideal for me.
Yeah. The reason I want it in a case is because my 500 Plus is currently on the shelf up there. There's nowhere I can put it. But if I put it in a case with a wireless keyboard, I can put things on top of it and just have the keyboard on the desk next to me.
Copyright.
How can I get a copyright claim on this? It's your music on your own channel.
But this is the 8-bit man shed, though. This isn't the Magic Alley.
I recorded a a cover of just me playing guitar and singing of a song, and an algorithm picked it up and gave me a copyright strike.
Take that as a compliment. That's
here
a
comes
compliment.
I did take it as a call. Yes.
Oh, Parky.
We've got some stories from Stephen this week.
Right, I'm going to go. Nice to see you all, guys. I'll be tuning in when I go for back in bed. We're echoing. Yeah. My mum, I had so much on this week. It was mum's funeral and all sorts of stuff. I don't talk about that. All sorts of just. I know. I don't want to talk about it. I'm so far behind on things.
I think,
Yes.
Stephen, you're echoing.
Echo. There we go. Echo's going.
I'll pick up with you next week, Dave, about
Yeah.
time,
Once things have turned to normal. I was thinking just during the week when I'm supposed to be working, I'll drive out to your house and steal a couple of hours from work.
When you're getting paid, I like it.
I'll still get my job done at the end of the day, but yeah,
That's
it's not recorded. Right, see you later, folks.
See you, Dave.
Yeah,
Thanks.
bye.
Okay, man.
Stephen, Facebook just reminded me today it's actually 8 years since I did building corners of a diagram.
8 years.
8 years, yeah. Apparently 8 years ago this day, I made the serial output in Rock.
Ah,
So building corners of diagram was made 8 years ago.
so this has been my efforts this week, sort of like on and off. It's a stretched pair of pants,
Yeah, you have to create.
and I don't think you can see it on. There you go. There's the just in the top left there. There's the projector.
Yeah, projector. Yeah, nice one.
The projector was only 70 quid, and the screen was only 20. So
That's nice.
Are you around tomorrow, Stephen?
Looks good.
yeah, I'm in the house tomorrow.
I'll swing by and drop off the whole sound system for you.
Yeah, I'm
John.
I think.
What?
Sorry, no. You. This was just me trying to figure out how we're going to get all this stuff done, and the
Logistics.
celebrity killer there. He's going to help me, but I just need to
Celebrity
get.
killer. I was going to say, John, do you still have about probably 6 months ago? You said you had picked up some monitors that are Amiga compatible. Do you still have them, or have you got rid of them?
You blanked me on my. Does anyone still want one of these?
I did not. I said I definitely want one. Have you been to mine, John?
So there's probably one left.
It's not an issue because my intention is to just go down the RGB to HDMI route, but I don't want to use the Philips monitor, which I've got over there. I'm probably going to flog that, and I'm probably going to flog it to Stephen, even though he doesn't need another one, but he has a pathological requirement to buy every single CRT monitor that comes begging. So I was thinking
it's Ollie's fault. It's entirely Ollie's fault.
I was wondering if you still have one. If you don't, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But it was.
Is that a one? Is that a one?
I've seen you. I've not been at a meetup or anything. So
is that a 1 or 2 in the loft? That's because you never came with them. Is that a 1 or 2 in the loft?
Couldn't hear the last one. I think.
Okay. So yeah, there's 1 or 2 in the loft. So
cool.
Plus, there's also that little thing that I made for you. That yeah.
Oh. It was probably about 6 months ago, if not longer ago, that you did that for me. We've not had a meet. Have we had a meetup? Have I missed a meet? Did I miss a meet?
You missed a meet, yeah, because you were playing the gig.
That's right.
You're prioritizing.
Then
what was that, John?
John and I got very drunk with Rob, and we ended up in the where was it? What hotel was it? It was the. What hotel was it?
Oh, the Crookston Hotel.
Crookston Hotel.
Crookston.
That was such good fun.
That was jumping.
It really was jumping. Surprisingly so. It was really good fun.
I'm trying to work out. I think we've worked out the logistics for October with the caravan. So, I mean, I don't want you to go to the trouble of putting tarmac down in front of your house.
No,
just to have
I need to do that anyway because every time I come out of my drive, in front of my bumper hits the
Yeah,
gate.
I grounded the bumper leaving your house last time, and I was like,
Now I don't really care about numpty, and the wife's car's a
Oh,
Range
bumpers
Rover,
are hot.
but yeah, I just want to sort it out because it's actually it's more of a thing where you have to come out of the drive at a certain speed to get over the bump, and then you end up in the middle of the road and there's cars coming
yeah,
up.
it's a concave road, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the point is that if I was to pull the car in as the car goes up, that'll go down, and the A-frame will just go.
No,
along the ground.
It's on my list of things to do. Fiona's wanting me to do it anyway,
So I'm
It's not
literally going to pitch up my caravan in your front lawn.
that's fine. Johnny can
That's
park
help.
up next
I
to
mean,
you.
that is so. There's going to be a camper van and a caravan on your front lawn, in your very nice area.
I'm gonna be. It's gonna be so legend with the neighbors. They're gonna be like, "Oh God, it's October again." It's that time when all
That's
these
gonna be
nerds
class.
appear on our lawn.
The thing is, on the Sunday, I have
And
to
Ollie
drive in.
Ollie bought tickets. He's coming.
So on the Sunday,
I bought
so
tickets
if I'm
as well.
coming, I'll come the Friday evening. So I'm gonna drive from here, pick up the caravan. This is the other thing. I've never picked up the caravan I've never driven it by myself without my wife being with me. So,
Come
that'll
on,
be
are
fun.
you a man or
Aw.
what?
Oh, that's very sexist.
No, it's like, can you do it on your own or not? Come on.
I can. I can drive it on my own. But like,
Have you got a big
you need an
pair?
extra pair of eyes. Come on. You need an extra pair of eyes. So when I get there, I have to approach from a certain angle so I can get in, and then you've got the tail swing. So you've got this like getting through the gate.
Listen.
Like, if I go turn, it goes. It'd be like it'd just be horrible.
I'll take the gates
That's
off. I'll take
really
the actual gates off. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
We'll
Johnny's
get it.
coming.
No
too.
bother. And so then I'll be leaving on Sunday morning, and then going straight back home, picking up the kids and Paula, and then going to Pitlochry. So it's I'm probably going to have the caravan's going to be full of all our holiday gear, which I will obviously decant all my Amiga stuff before I leave, but like, you know, I'll have everything in there. And if anyone needs to crash in the caravan, they can do, but like, it's quite cramped.
I think Graham might be Graham is probably your bet, but I think Graham will go and stay with Rob.
And so I mean, there'll be room, but if there's
Rob's
not, then
Rob's literally only a mile away.
The other thing as well is that Paula won't have the car for like 2 days. So if she needs the car on the Saturday, what might happen is she might come through with me. We'll get the caravan pitched up, and then she'll drive away, and then she'll come and get me on Sunday morning. So, but logistics are fine. We'll work it out. Yeah.
Is it ironical, Stephen, that I got the ticket and I paid it from a place called
Where's the feedback coming from?
Ticket? Feedback? No feedback here.
There's like a delay. Someone's
Hello.
Hello.
Is it you, John? Maybe because you're using speakers instead of headphones.
Slick.
Oh, that is me.
No echo.
Did you get a copyright strike from Banjo Gaioli?
I'll know in the morning.
You know, the typical male. It was a long time ago.
I require a
since
beer.
had
I'll be back
copyright
momentarily.
strike. A long time since I had copyright strikes, but I know how it is.
Yeah, do you know something? I think I might have put some of that shit on some PCBs.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I have as well. Like on every Amiga board. On the
I
different
think
layers.
that's where my insults on PCB started, was because of
Even
Salvador.
on Ollie's board, it's insults on the inner layers.
Really?
Yeah, it is. if you have it in the case now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. if you look at the PCMCI card and in bright light, you can see text in the middle layer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have a look because that thing is open more often than not, really. I think that's the way with kind of home builds, really. Like it just
there are quite
This is
a
the
lot
way we
of,
do it in the Western Isles.
there are quite a lot of Easter eggs on the PCB, but I can read it for you. It's Amiga crime scene skunkworth, no ground for fakes. Keep the momentum going. Amiga means friend. Coffee bag can go suck it. No empty promises. Duck faces, doofus. Amiga socks are rare. With love from Chucky, Rodeo, Kenneth Stevens, Rich Robbie, etc. People have actually paid me to have the names on the PC in the internal
Gee,
layer.
wow. On a side note, Chucky, I have to say your guide is brilliant.
Thanks.
It was such, obviously it's a good help, but it's super clear as well. Like
It took me quite a long time to develop that the guide.
I can appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you do a good guide, did you spend half the time that you would if you had to hand walk people through everything?
The reason that I did the guide was mostly because I was lazy to build the board. It's better to have a guide than just randomly build it.
And yet the Facebook group, I was looking through it, and every now and then you see somebody saying, I just soldered everything, it's not working, what's wrong?
And I say, do you follow my guide? No, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I have to put this one on because it's a tune that got me through lockdown.
Jesus Christ. It's probably hard to appreciate what it is if you haven't seen it. And,
no.
It's probably easier if I share it here.
Yeah, you can go for it.
Do it. My fear is broken.
Anyway, I'm just mostly just testing that screen because it's a novelty. Because it'll be like old hat on Monday, but
let me see.
How's
How do I share
Parkinson?
screen again? Oh yeah.
We've got feedback. Is that you, Andrew?
Can't be me. I have no speakers on.
Oh no audio.
No audio.
No.
Ah, for fuck's sake. Well, fuck yous anyway. I don't think I can share the audio.
It's Vampire Killer, but with cowbells and stuff.
Doesn't matter.
I have watched most of your videos. Ollie. They're all very good.
They all have
Very
some-
jealous. I would like for somebody to sit there and explain to me how the hell to make music in Pro Tracker, because I've got all the gear and absolutely no idea how to do it.
Pro Tracker
or any tracker really.
You can ask
Hoffman.
Oh fuck, Hoffman. Yeah.
I have done stuff in Pro. I just can't do like all the weird stuff like the pitch bends and like layering and getting it to like do.
Oh,
like,
so you want to be like Helg?
Well, so you know how
nowhere near as good
works,
as Helga. I mean, Helga's clearly like a very talented, guy. So
no, but like you know how Pro Tracker works, then.
look at
hexadecimal stuff, and I've watched loads of tutorial videos, but like I've not actually sat there and tried to do like.
I think that's probably what it takes. Then you need to sit down with a tutorial, and because I think anybody could show you, but I think you need to do it at the same time as you're watching a tutorial.
Yeah, I was actually.
It's not that hard. I mean, that's how I started music, was trackers. Before I could read or write music, like that was trackers.
You started doing trackers before you learned an actual like physical
instrument.
music
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
I know several people that can make music in practice but can't play any instrument.
Yeah, that was the most frustrating thing about getting a guitar. Then, like, I think it was 14 when I got my first guitar, and I was like, I can write like 4-part tunes on the Amiga, entire fucking compositions, and I can't get two.
Well, it's
notes put
programming,
together on the
isn't it?
guitar.
You're effectively coding music.
Ah,
But still, you have a keyboard like yeah.
But music is code. The stave, music is code and parameters. In a nutshell.
But performance isn't that.
I mean, there's an element of math modulus 12, yes, but yeah.
No, what I mean is, like, every single note has a length that it's played for, a pitch that it's played at, whether it is increasing in volume or decreasing in volume, whether there is an effect, whether there's like a tremolo or a reverb or whatever, and a tempo, and these are all variables and parameters that are mathematical in nature. Music is mathematics anyway. Harmonious music is based on mathematics. The reason a chord sounds harmonious or discordant is because of mathematically how the sound behaves. And what is pleasing to your ear is based on the mathematics of it.
Well,
yes. I would sort of disagree with that,
Or
but in a way, you're right.
You could say that you can express the goodness or badness in terms of maths. It's not because of the maths.
What I mean is, a major chord sounds the way it does because of the way the sound waves overlap each other and complement each other. So if you have a discordant chord where you're playing notes that don't,
okay, well, if you want to go down the chord rabbit hole, the way we perceive, there's the way a chord sounds and the way we perceive a sound or a chord, and the way we perceive a chord is entirely cultural, as opposed to
yes, because you can absolutely agree with you. Yes. Absolutely, 100%. Because depending where you come from, like Mongolian throat music, for example, might sound discordant to somebody, but not if you're Mongolian.
And there's things we understand across different cultures, but it doesn't mean that it's not cultural to us as a species. As in, a major chord is happy, a minor chord is sad, but that's just because we put major and minor semantic labels on top of things.
I don't mean that a chord is either like the major or minor. I mean, like, a minor chord can sound pleasing to you, like it makes sense to you. Your brain interprets that. I'm talking about like where it's just noise versus something which is programmatic, in nature.
So before Stephen fades away and dies, we need to hear about
how he killed Parkinson. Yes.
Well, that and
what happened this week.
The police raid.
Oh God. Yeah, I was sitting here at my desk. What day was it? What day were we on Friday? Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Was it Wednesday? And this undercover police car just pulls into my driveway, and these two CID officers get out, and then the next thing, all the traffic outside slows right down, and there's a police van, two police cars. So the police van pulls into the driveway at the other side. Police car pulls into the driveway there, and another police car blocks the entire road and puts the blue lights on. So I'm about to join a call in America. So I have to say to the American, listen, I need to go. The cops are at my door, like, en masse.
Sorry.
This on the Wahlyva Road.
Yeah. And I went outside, and they were really, really sincere, and they're like, "Are you Sharon?" Whatever, and I'm like, "Do I look like a Sharon, right?" And then no, we're looking for Sharon, and I'm like, "No, you've got the wrong house. There's no Sharon here." And they gave the address, and I went, "That's the next house. Why are you focusing in on me? Turn that off."
You're beautiful. Don't.
They gave an address, and I says, that's the next house up the road. Oh, all right. And then they're on their radios. We've got the wrong address. It's the next house up. Meanwhile, Jen's dad drives by. So Jen's dad's out in the lorry, and he does local stuff between the quarry up there and the quarry up there. So he's driving back and forward in the lorry, and he's driving by and sees this commotion outside, and he stops outside like, what the hell's going on, you know? Not quite. It wasn't quite as dramatic as that. But yeah, I had the police outside my house for about 40 minutes. And obviously, people are driving by thinking, what's going on in there, you know? So, yeah, they eventually went away. And I got an apology, but it was a little nerve-wracking.
Scott Squad, isn't it?
And what did you have to, what did you have to ditch that you thought that
flashing the toilet?
Well, I stopped. The reason I was late on this, I didn't know this was on. I actually had to get a new phone because I put my original phone in the microwave. It's not true. They're completely unrelated. But no, my friends joked that, you know, if any, I'm in a few group chats, and some of the content of the group chats, if ever I lost my phone, you know, I'd be as well just walking into the nearest police station, and I thought they were coming to get me. So
Rob Cranley was burning his phone and flying back to Ireland as soon as he heard that you were getting pulled.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they were coming to see me about a certain Amiga that went missing for the factory in Irvine in 1992. That yeah, would have shown up as not stolen, but
statute of limitations, mate. You're fine.
Yeah, 1992. That's what 31 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, you've got a bit. You're all right on that one now.
Yeah.
Absolutely diamond, no bother.
Jeez.
Yeah, so
well, I will say goodbye now because it's 1 a.m. and yeah.
See you, Chucky.
Good night, Chucky.
Good night, John. Have a good night, dude.
I am also going to bail because I am faked. And I said to Ollie I would join at 9 for about an hour. And I'm 3 hours in. So,
well, are we 3 hours in?
We are. You just gone 3. I am, because I'm set up for streaming and everything's up and running. I had planned to stream Dark Forces on my Amiga at some point. I don't expect to have anyone watching. I might just record me playing it and put it on YouTube, but I'm gonna do that after this.
Throw in the link in the chat and we'll call it a night, and then people can jump from here to.
I mean, it's 10 to midnight, so who am I gonna get? Diehards.
Well, you know,
random Americans, I suppose.
We get people calling it from Biffa bins all over the world.
I have to say, right. Just very briefly, the Dark Forces port that I can't remember who it was. The guy who's done it has pulled an absolute blinder. Now, not only is there isn't a Star Wars game of that vintage available on the Amiga, right? The only ones you can play are like the arcade conversions from like the late 80s, early 90s. I'm getting between 27 and 30 frames per second at 100 megahertz on the Turbo Fire, which is mind-blowing if you think about it. When you consider some of the other first FPSs that the Amiga has, that even with a TF card, you're only going to get like 18 maybe tops. And it's such a well polished game. It's got it's the MIDI music. You've got the music, the MIDI soundtrack. Rob's done the really cool. He's like the guy said, "Oh, if anyone wants to for the Tool Jam wants to build a configurator for the game, now's your chance." Rob knocks one out in about 5 minutes, and he's done like 3 or 4 iterations of it since then, and it's properly properly working. So I was going to do that, and I have nothing else to do, so I might just play a bit of that before I go to bed tonight.
I think having MIDI on it probably helps the processor because
Yeah, because the AHI audio is quite, there's a lot of noise on it, whereas with the MIDI you get a really nice kind of pure tone, and it's obviously very MIDI-ish. I didn't realize until I was at the Retro Cave just how big that is. I didn't realize the MT32 was absolutely massive. I thought it was roughly the same size as mine, my tone generator. Oh, nice.
I get that a lot, Andrew.
I know. No, it's not how big it is. What you do with it, though. Eh? Is that
Anyway,
what?
We'll call it a night, I suppose.
The point, though, of playing games like that on an Amiga, because that's what PCs are for.
Yeah, but I can't play that on my PC because it's a DOS game, and I won't be able to play it.
You can play it on Steam
or GOG.
I know, or I can just play it on my Amiga. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a Star Wars game. Fantastic.
All right, folks, I'm going to head off. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Call it a night.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm away.
Cheers.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, chaps.